The genesis of the Primaris Space Marines traces back to a clandestine meeting between Roboute Guilliman and Belisarius Cawl in the closing days of the Horus Heresy. In the wake of the War Master's rebellion, Roboute Guilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, foresaw that the Imperium would require not only fortifications and strategy to endure, but new strength to safeguard humanity's future. To this end, he turned to Belisarius Cawl, an Archmagos of extraordinary genius within the Mechanicum. Cawl received a commission that would define the next 10 millennia of his existence. Guilliman tasked him with a project of staggering scope and ambition to improve upon the Emperor's greatest creation, the Adeptus Astartes themselves. This was not merely a request for incremental improvements to existing equipment or tactics, but a fundamental reimagining of what a Space Marine could become. The Primarch of the Ultramarines understood that the Imperium's enemies would only grow stronger and more numerous in the centuries to come, and that the existing Astartes, magnificent as they were, might not prove sufficient for the trials ahead. The commission came with explicit instructions that the work must remain absolutely secret. Guilliman understood the political and theological implications of attempting to improve upon the Emperor's design. The very suggestion that the master of mankind's creations could be enhanced would be considered heretical by many within both the Imperium and the Mechanicum. More practically, any hint of such research would invite sabotage from chaos-aligned forces or appropriation by rival factions within the Mechanicum itself. Cawl was therefore bound by the most sacred oaths of secrecy, with the understanding that his work would remain hidden until such time as the Imperium faced its darkest hour. The Magos biologist threw himself into this monumental task with characteristic obsession and methodical precision. His first challenge lay in understanding the fundamental limitations of the existing Astartes gene seed and the 19 organ implants that transformed ordinary humans into Space Marines. Each of these organs represented a masterwork of genetic engineering, perfectly calibrated to work in harmony with the others and with the base human physiology. Yet Cawl's analysis revealed potential points of improvement, areas where the Emperor's original design could be refined or expanded upon without compromising the delicate biological balance that made the Astartes possible. The forbidden nature of gene seed manipulation presented both technical and philosophical obstacles. The cult Mechanicus had long maintained strict prohibitions against tampering with the sacred patterns established by the Omnissiah, yet Cawl found himself compelled to push beyond these boundaries. He began by conducting exhaustive genetic analyses of existing gene seed samples, mapping not only their current structure, but also identifying dormant sequences and evolutionary potential that had remained untapped since their original creation. This work required computational resources on a scale that would have attracted unwanted attention on Mars itself, forcing Cawl to establish distributed processing networks across multiple Forge worlds. The creation of new organ implants beyond the traditional 19 represented perhaps the most audacious aspect of the entire project. Cawl identified several physiological systems where additional enhancement could provide significant advantages without disrupting existing implant functions. The sinew coils, designed to enhance muscular strength and coordination beyond even the improvements provided by the Biscopia, required careful integration with the existing musculature enhancement organs. The Magnificat, intended to increase the overall size and physical presence of the enhanced Astartes, needed to work in harmony with the Osmajula's bone strengthening effects while avoiding the gigantism that had plagued some of the Emperor's earlier genetic experiments. Perhaps most challenging was the development of the Belisarian furnace, an organ designed to provide enhanced metabolic regulation and toxin resistance. This implant required extensive testing to ensure compatibility with the multi-lung and the oolytic kidney, both of which already provided significant enhancements to respiratory and filtration systems. The furnace needed to augment rather than replace these existing functions, creating a redundant system that could maintain Astartes' combat effectiveness even under extreme physiological stress. Cawl's access to the Emperor's original genetic templates proved crucial to overcoming the technical challenges inherent in this work. These templates, preserved within the deepest vaults of the Mechanicum's archives, contain genetic information that had been used in the creation of the Primarchs themselves. While Cawl could not directly replicate the unique circumstances that had produced the Emperor's sons, he could analyze the underlying genetic principles and apply them to his enhancement project. The templates revealed sophisticated techniques for genetic stabilization and compatibility testing that had been lost to conventional Imperial science. The integration of the Emperor's scientific knowledge required Cawl to develop new theoretical frameworks for understanding Astartes biology. The Master of Mankind's approach to genetic engineering operated on principles that transcended purely material science, incorporating elements that bordered on the metaphysical. Cawl found himself grappling with concepts that challenged even his extensive understanding of biological systems, requiring him to expand his research into areas that the Mechanicum typically considered beyond the scope of pure technology. This expanded research led to breakthrough insights into the nature of gene-seed compatibility and rejection. Cawl discovered that the Emperor's original work had incorporated safeguards and compatibility markers that operated on multiple levels simultaneously. By understanding these mechanisms, he could design his new organs to integrate seamlessly with existing implant systems, while maintaining the genetic stability that prevented the catastrophic mutations that had plagued earlier attempts at Astartes enhancement. The establishment of hidden research facilities became a logistical challenge of immense complexity. Cawl required not only secure locations, but also access to specialized equipment, test subjects, and raw materials on a scale that would inevitably attract attention if concentrated in a single location. His solution involved the creation of a distributed network of research stations, each ostensibly dedicated to conventional Mechanicum projects while secretly contributing to the Primaris development program. These facilities were established across dozens of Forge worlds, each chosen for specific advantages in terms of security, resources, or strategic positioning. Some specialized in genetic analysis and manipulation, equipped with the most advanced gene laboratories that Cawl could construct or acquire. Others focused on the development and testing of new implant technologies, featuring surgical suites and biological monitoring systems that surpassed anything available to conventional Mechanicum research. Still others served as manufacturing centers, producing the specialized components and materials required for the enhanced organs and their implantation procedures. The Forge world of Lucius became particularly important to the project, its labyrinthine structure providing ideal conditions for concealed research. Cawl established multiple research stations within the world's deepest levels, hidden among the countless manufacturing complexes and data processing centers that formed the planet's industrial infrastructure. The constant activity and energy signatures of conventional production provided perfect camouflage for the exotic technologies required by the Primaris project. Rise's expertise in plasma technology proved invaluable for developing the power systems required by some of the new organs. The Belisarian furnaces' enhanced metabolic functions required energy regulation systems that operated on principles similar to plasma containment technology. Cawl's researchers on Risa, working under the guise of developing improved power armor systems, actually created the fundamental technologies that would allow enhanced Astartes to maintain their increased physical capabilities without suffering metabolic collapse. The recruitment and management of research personnel presented unique challenges. The project required individuals with expertise in genetics, surgery, materials science, and numerous other specialized fields, yet each additional researcher represented a potential security breach. Cawl addressed this through careful compartmentalization, ensuring that no individual researcher understood the full scope of the project. Most believed they were working on incremental improvements to existing Astartes equipment or developing new technologies for conventional Imperial forces. The most trusted researchers, those who necessarily understood larger portions of the project, were bound by increasingly elaborate security protocols. Some underwent memory modification procedures that would prevent them from revealing sensitive information, even under interrogation or psychic examination. Others were relocated to isolated research stations where they could continue their work, but had no contact with the outside galaxy. A few were converted into servitors upon completion of their assigned tasks, their knowledge preserved in their augmented brains, but their ability to communicate it eliminated. Testing the new organs and procedures required access to suitable subjects, another challenge that demanded careful planning and absolute discretion. Cawl could not simply requisition Space Marines for experimental procedures without raising questions about the nature of his research. Instead, he developed elaborate cover stories and false research programs that justified the need for Astartes volunteers. Some subjects believed they were participating in studies of combat effectiveness or equipment compatibility. Others were told they were helping develop new medical procedures for treating battle injuries. The most promising test subjects were recruited from chapters that had suffered severe casualties and were desperate for any means of rebuilding their strength. These Marines, facing the dissolution of their chapters due to insufficient numbers, proved willing to accept experimental procedures that might restore their fighting capability. Cawl presented his work as advanced healing techniques or enhanced combat stimulants, carefully concealing the true nature of the genetic modifications being performed. Throughout this period, Cawl maintained detailed records of every experiment, every success, and every failure. These records, encrypted using codes that would not be broken for millennia, documented the gradual refinement of the Primaris enhancement process. Early attempts resulted in rejection reactions, metabolic failures, and psychological instabilities that required constant adjustment of the genetic templates and implantation procedures. Each failure provided valuable data that informed subsequent iterations of the enhancement process. The psychological conditioning protocols that Cawl developed alongside the physical enhancements represented a crucial breakthrough in the final stages of the Primaris project. As the 10 millennia of secret research drew toward completion, the Magos biologists had accumulated sufficient data to begin mass production of the enhanced gene seed and the surgical procedures required for implantation. However, the galaxy itself was about to provide the catalyst that would finally unleash his creation upon an unsuspecting Imperium. The opening of the Great Rift in the year 999 of the 41st Millennium tore reality asunder across the galaxy, creating a massive warp storm that bisected Imperial space and plunged entire sectors into darkness. This catastrophic event, known to Imperial scholars as the Cicatrix Maledictum, represented the culmination of 10,000 years of chaos, corruption, and the machinations of the Dark Gods. Warp storms erupted across previously stable regions, demon incursions manifested on countless worlds, and the very fabric of space-time became unreliable throughout vast swathes of the galaxy. The resurrection of Roboute Guilliman on Macragge provided the perfect confluence of circumstances for Cawl to finally reveal the fruits of his millennia-long labor. The returned Primarch found himself facing an Imperium that had stagnated under the weight of bureaucratic dogma and religious zealotry, its military forces stretched beyond breaking point by the demands of defending against increasingly aggressive enemies on every front. The opening of the Great Rift had effectively cut the Imperium in half, with the regions beyond the rift, dubbed Imperium Nihilus, largely cut off from Terra and the guiding light of the Astronomicon. Guilliman's strategic assessment of the Imperium's military capabilities revealed the desperate nature of the situation. Many Space Marine chapters had been reduced to mere companies through constant warfare and the gradual degradation of their gene seed stocks. The Adeptus Astartes, once numbering in the millions during the Great Crusade, had dwindled to fewer than 1 million warriors spread across 1,000 chapters. This force, while individually superior to almost any enemy, simply lacked the numerical strength to defend the Imperium's vast territories against the multitude of threats now assailing it from all directions. When Cawl presented his secret project to the returned Primarch, Guilliman immediately grasped both the potential and the risks inherent in the Primaris Marines. The enhanced warriors represented a significant improvement over existing Astartes in terms of physical capabilities, genetic stability, and resistance to chaos corruption. However, their deployment would require careful political management to avoid triggering civil war within the Imperium itself. Many within the Adeptus Astartes would view the Primaris as a threat to their traditions and autonomy, while the ecclesiarchy might denounce any attempt to improve upon the emperor's original design as heretical. The scale of the Ultima founding that Guilliman authorized dwarfed any previous chapter founding in imperial history. Rather than creating a handful of new chapters as had been traditional, the Ultima founding established hundreds of new chapters while simultaneously reinforcing existing ones with Primaris Marines. This massive undertaking required coordination across dozens of Forge worlds and the mobilization of resources on a scale not seen since the Great Crusade itself. The logistical challenges of this endeavor proved immense. Cawl's distributed research network had to be rapidly converted into a manufacturing and training infrastructure capable of producing thousands of enhanced Marines simultaneously. Forge worlds that had secretly contributed to the Primaris project for millennia suddenly found themselves at the center of the largest military mobilization in recent imperial history. The production of new power armor, weapons, and vehicles specifically designed for Primaris Marines required the establishment of entirely new manufacturing lines and the training of countless tech adepts in previously unknown technologies. The creation of the Grey Shields represented one of the most ambitious aspects of the entire undertaking. These Primaris Marines were recruited and trained without specific chapter affiliations, instead receiving generic imperial conditioning that would allow them to be integrated into existing chapters as needed. The Grey Shields underwent the same physical enhancement procedures as other Primaris Marines, but their psychological conditioning emphasized adaptability and flexibility rather than the rigid adherence to specific chapter traditions that characterized normal Space Marine training. Training facilities established across dozens of worlds processed thousands of potential recruits simultaneously. These installations, many of them constructed in secret over the preceding centuries, finally revealed their true purpose as vast complexes capable of housing and training entire companies of enhanced Marines. The facilities on Luna proved particularly important, their proximity to Terra allowing for direct oversight by Guilliman himself, while their advanced medical and surgical capabilities enabled the refinement of implantation procedures under optimal conditions. The selection criteria for Primaris recruits differed significantly from traditional Astartes recruitment practices. While existing chapters typically recruited from specific worlds or populations that had proven genetically compatible with their gene seed, the Primaris project cast a much wider net. Cawl's enhanced gene seed demonstrated greater compatibility with diverse human populations, allowing recruitment from worlds that had previously been unable to contribute to Space Marine chapters. This expanded recruitment base proved crucial in generating the numbers required for the Ultima founding. The integration of Grey Shields into established chapters created unprecedented challenges for both the newcomers and the existing battle brothers. Many chapters had maintained their traditions and combat doctrines unchanged for millennia, viewing any deviation from established practices as a betrayal of their heritage. The arrival of Primaris Marines, with their enhanced capabilities and unfamiliar equipment, forced these chapters to reconsider fundamental aspects of their identity and operational methods. Some chapters embraced the Grey Shields with enthusiasm, viewing them as a means of restoring their depleted ranks and enhancing their combat effectiveness. The Ultramarines, under Guilliman's direct guidance, integrated Primaris Marines seamlessly into their existing command structure, with enhanced Marines serving alongside their traditional battle brothers in mixed units. Other successor chapters of Guilliman's gene line followed similar patterns, their existing reverence for the Primarch making acceptance of his new warriors relatively straightforward. However, many chapters proved more resistant to integration. The Imperial Fists and their successors initially viewed the Primaris Marines with suspicion, questioning whether warriors who had not undergone the traditional trials and conditioning could truly embody the chapter's values. The Space Wolves presented particular challenges, as their unique gene seed and cultural traditions seemed incompatible with the standardized training that Grey Shields had received. The integration process in such cases required careful negotiation and often involved the establishment of separate Primaris companies within existing chapters. The deployment of Primaris forces across the galaxy faced enormous logistical obstacles created by the Great Rift itself. The massive warp storm had rendered traditional shipping lanes unreliable or entirely impassable, forcing Imperial commanders to develop new strategies for moving personnel and equipment across the divided galaxy. The regions of Imperium Nihilus, cut off from the guiding light of the Astronomicon, proved particularly challenging to reach with conventional transport methods. Cawl's solution involved the construction of specialized transport vessels designed specifically for carrying Primaris Marines and their equipment through unstable warp conditions. These ships, incorporating technologies developed during his millennia of secret research, featured enhanced Geller fields and navigation systems that could function even in areas where the warp had become dangerously turbulent. The vessels also included extensive medical facilities capable of completing Primaris implantation procedures during transit, allowing the transformation process to continue even while forces were being deployed to combat zones. The establishment of forward staging areas became crucial to the success of the deployment. Cawl identified dozens of strategically positioned worlds that could serve as bases for Primaris forces while they awaited assignment to their final destinations. These staging areas required extensive fortification and the construction of facilities capable of supporting large numbers of enhanced Marines. Many were established on Forge worlds, where existing industrial infrastructure could be rapidly converted to support Primaris operations. The world of Vigilus became one of the most important staging areas for forces destined for the galactic north. Its position near several major warp routes made it an ideal launching point for expeditions into regions that had been cut off by the Great Rift. The planet's existing military infrastructure was rapidly expanded to accommodate entire companies of Primaris Marines, while its orbital shipyards worked around the clock to produce the specialized equipment required by the enhanced warriors. Similarly, the Forge world of Lucius served as a major hub for forces being deployed to the eastern fringe. The planet's labyrinthine structure provided ideal conditions for concealing the true scale of Primaris operations from potential enemies, while its advanced manufacturing capabilities ensured a steady supply of weapons and equipment. The deep levels of Lucius, where much of the original Primaris research had been conducted, were converted into vast armories and training facilities. The coordination of these massive deployments required the development of new command and control systems. Traditional Imperial communication methods, already strained by the galaxy's vast distances, became even less reliable in the aftermath of the Great Rift's opening. Cawl implemented quantum entanglement communication devices at major staging areas, allowing for near instantaneous coordination between widely separated forces. These devices, incorporating technologies that bordered on heretical by traditional Mechanicum standards, proved essential for managing the complex logistics of the Ultima founding. The psychological impact of the Primaris Marines deployment extended far beyond their immediate military effectiveness. Their appearance on battlefields across the galaxy served as a powerful symbol of Imperial resurgence at a time when many worlds had begun to despair of salvation. The enhanced Marines' superior equipment and capabilities, combined with their disciplined conduct and unwavering loyalty, helped restore faith in the Imperium's ability to protect its citizens. However, this same impact created political complications within the existing power structures of the Imperium. Many planetary governors and military commanders found themselves questioning the continued relevance of their traditional forces when faced with the obvious superiority of the Primaris Marines. Some attempted to requisition enhanced warriors for their own use, creating diplomatic tensions that required careful management by Guilliman's representatives. The Adeptus Mechanicus itself experienced significant internal upheaval as the true scope of Cawl's project became apparent. Many tech priests who had unknowingly contributed to the Primaris research suddenly found themselves at the center of theological debates about the nature of innovation and the limits of acceptable technological development. Some embraced their role in creating the enhanced Marines as validation of their scientific methods, while others worried about the implications of having participated in such a radical departure from established doctrine. The fundamental biological architecture that distinguishes Primaris Space Marines from their traditional Astartes brethren rests upon three revolutionary organ implants that Belisarius Cawl developed through millennia of genetic research and experimentation. These additional organs, the sinew coils, the Magnificat, and the Belisarian furnace, represent the culmination of his attempts to transcend the limitations inherent in the Emperor's original design, while maintaining the delicate biological harmony that makes the Astartes transformation possible. The sinew coils constitute perhaps the most immediately apparent enhancement, fundamentally altering the muscular and nervous systems of Primaris Marines in ways that dramatically exceed the improvements provided by the traditional Biscopia implant. These coils integrate directly into the enhanced warrior's existing muscle fibers, creating a secondary muscular system that operates in parallel with the natural musculature. The coils themselves consist of bioengineered tissue that contracts with significantly greater force than conventional muscle fiber, while simultaneously providing enhanced proprioceptive feedback that allows for unprecedented precision in movement and combat applications. The battlefield applications of the sinew coils become apparent in close-quarters combat situations, where Primaris Marines demonstrate the ability to deliver strikes with sufficient force to crush ceramite armor plating or tear through reinforced bulkheads that would resist conventional Astartes attacks. The enhanced muscular system also provides improved reaction times, allowing Primaris warriors to respond to threats with speed that often appears superhuman even by Space Marine standards. During the defense of Vigilus, observers noted Primaris Marines intercepting incoming projectiles with their combat blades, or adjusting their position mid-leap to avoid obstacles that would have been impossible for traditional Astartes to navigate. The precision enhancement provided by the sinew coils proves equally valuable in ranged combat scenarios. The improved muscular control allows Primaris Marines to maintain weapon stability under conditions that would challenge even veteran marksmen, while the enhanced proprioceptive feedback enables them to compensate for recoil and environmental factors with remarkable accuracy. This capability becomes particularly evident when Primaris Marines employ heavy weapons that would typically require bracing or support systems, as their enhanced muscular control allows them to fire such weapons accurately while maintaining full mobility. The Magnificat represents Cawl's solution to the size and presence limitations that had constrained the Emperor's original Astartes design. This organ functions as a comprehensive growth regulator, working in conjunction with the existing osmodula to produce Primaris Marines who consistently achieve greater height and mass than their traditional counterparts. However, the Magnificat's effects extend beyond simple physical enlargement, as it also regulates the development of secondary characteristics that contribute to the enhanced warrior's intimidating presence and improved combat effectiveness. The average Primaris Marine stands approximately half a meter taller than traditional Astartes, with proportionally increased mass that translates directly into enhanced combat capability. This size increase provides several tactical advantages, including greater reach in melee combat, improved leverage for grappling and close-quarters techniques, and enhanced durability through increased bone density and muscle mass. The psychological impact of the Magnificat's effects proves equally significant, as the imposing physical presence of Primaris Marines often causes enemy forces to hesitate or break before combat is even joined. The organ's regulation of growth patterns ensures that the enhanced size does not compromise mobility or agility. Traditional attempts at creating larger Space Marines had often resulted in warriors who possessed impressive strength, but lacked the speed and coordination necessary for effective combat. The Magnificat addresses this limitation by carefully coordinating growth across all physiological systems, ensuring that increased size correlates with proportional improvements in all physical capabilities, rather than creating unwieldy giants who sacrifice effectiveness for intimidation value. The Belisarian furnace stands as perhaps the most sophisticated of the three additional organs, representing a masterwork of biological engineering that addresses multiple physiological systems simultaneously. This implant functions as an advanced metabolic regulator and toxin processing center, providing Primaris Marines with enhanced resistance to chemical weapons, environmental hazards, and the corrupting influences of chaos that have claimed so many traditional Astartes throughout Imperial history. The furnace operates by maintaining multiple redundant metabolic pathways that can compensate for system failures or toxic interference that would incapacitate or kill traditional Space Marines. When exposed to chemical weapons or environmental toxins, the organ rapidly analyzes the threat and activates appropriate countermeasures, either neutralizing the harmful substances directly or isolating them within specialized cellular structures until they can be safely eliminated. This capability has proven invaluable in combat environments where enemies employ exotic weapons or where the battlefield itself has been contaminated by industrial pollutants or warp-tainted materials. The enhanced metabolic regulation provided by the Belisarian furnace also allows Primaris Marines to maintain peak combat effectiveness for extended periods without rest or sustenance. The organ can optimize energy utilization during prolonged engagements, ensuring that enhanced warriors retain their full capabilities even during siege operations or extended campaigns, where traditional Astartes might begin to show signs of fatigue or reduced performance. During the Plague Wars, Primaris Marines equipped with functioning Belisarian furnaces demonstrated the ability to operate continuously for weeks in environments where the very air was saturated with Nurgle's toxins. The comparison between Primaris and traditional Astartes capabilities reveals substantial improvements across all measurable parameters, though the differences prove most pronounced in situations that push the enhanced warriors to their operational limits. In terms of raw strength, Primaris Marines consistently demonstrate approximately 30% greater lifting capacity and striking force than their traditional counterparts, with the improvement becoming more pronounced during sustained physical exertion, where the sinew coils provide enhanced endurance alongside increased power output. Speed comparisons show similar improvements, though the advantages vary depending on the specific type of movement being measured. Sprint speeds show modest improvements of approximately 15%, while reaction times and combat reflexes demonstrate more substantial enhancements that often prove decisive in close quarters engagements. The enhanced proprioceptive feedback provided by the sinew coils allows Primaris Marines to execute complex maneuvers with precision that traditional Astartes struggle to match, particularly in three-dimensional combat environments or when fighting in confined spaces. Resilience measurements reveal perhaps the most significant advantages of the Primaris enhancement process. The combination of increased size from the Magnificat, enhanced metabolic regulation from the Belisarian furnace, and improved muscular systems from the sinew coils creates warriors who can sustain damage levels that would incapacitate traditional Space Marines. Field reports from numerous engagements document Primaris Marines continuing to fight effectively after suffering injuries that would have forced conventional Astartes to withdraw from combat or seek immediate medical attention. The improved gene seed stability, achieved through Cawl's genetic modifications, addresses one of the most persistent challenges that had plagued Space Marine chapters throughout Imperial history. Traditional gene seeds suffered from gradual degradation over successive generations, with each implantation cycle introducing minor mutations or compatibility issues that accumulated over time. Some chapters had been forced to implement increasingly strict recruitment criteria to maintain acceptable success rates, while others had experienced complete genetic collapse that resulted in their dissolution. Cawl's enhanced gene seed incorporates multiple redundant genetic sequences and error correction mechanisms that prevent the accumulation of mutations that had historically compromised gene seed viability. The improved genetic template includes backup sequences for critical genetic information, allowing the enhanced gene seed to repair minor damage automatically and maintain stability across indefinite generational cycles. Laboratory testing conducted over the millennia of secret development demonstrated that Primaris gene seed maintains full functionality even after simulated exposure to radiation levels and genetic stresses that would have rendered traditional gene seed completely unusable. The resistance to chaos corruption built into the Primaris genetic template represents one of Cawl's most significant achievements, addressing a vulnerability that had claimed entire chapters throughout Imperial history. The enhanced gene seed incorporates genetic markers and cellular modifications that make it significantly more difficult for chaos influences to establish the foothold necessary for corruption to take root. These modifications operate on multiple levels, from basic cellular resistance to warp-based mutations to more sophisticated psychological safeguards that help enhanced warriors resist the subtle mental influences that often precede physical corruption. The biological mechanisms underlying this enhanced resistance involve modifications to the enhanced warrior's neural chemistry and cellular structure that create natural barriers against warp influence. The Belisarian furnace plays a crucial role in this resistance, as its enhanced metabolic capabilities can identify and neutralize many of the biochemical changes that accompany early-stage chaos corruption. Field observations during engagements against chaos forces have documented Primaris Marines maintaining their sanity and loyalty under conditions that have caused traditional Astartes to succumb to corruption or madness. However, the biological compatibility issues between traditional and enhanced gene seed have created significant challenges for chapters attempting to integrate both types of warriors. The fundamental differences in cellular structure and metabolic processes mean that traditional Astartes cannot simply receive Primaris organ implants without extensive preparation and modification. The enhanced organs require specific biochemical conditions to function properly, conditions that do not exist in the physiology of traditional Space Marines. The Rubicon Primaris represents Cawl's solution to this compatibility challenge, though the procedure carries substantial risks that have prevented its widespread adoption. The process involves the surgical implantation of the 3 additional organs, along with extensive genetic therapy designed to modify the recipient's existing physiology to support the enhanced systems. The procedure requires the temporary shutdown of several existing organ systems while the new implants are integrated, creating a critical period during which the enhanced warrior's survival depends entirely on life support systems and the successful activation of the new organs. The mortality rate associated with the Rubicon Primaris procedure varies significantly depending on the age and condition of the recipient, with younger Marines demonstrating substantially better survival rates than veterans who have accumulated decades of combat damage and physiological stress. Chapter records indicate success rates ranging from 60 to 90%, with the variation largely attributable to differences in surgical techniques, medical facilities, and the specific genetic heritage of the recipients. Marines from gene lines that have remained relatively stable over millennia tend to survive the procedure more reliably than those from chapters that have experienced significant genetic drift or degradation. The psychological effects of undergoing the Rubicon Primaris often prove as challenging as the physical transformation itself. Veterans who have spent centuries developing their combat techniques and tactical instincts must adapt to significantly altered physical capabilities, often requiring extensive retraining to fully utilize their enhanced abilities. Many report initial disorientation as their enhanced proprioceptive systems provide sensory input that differs substantially from their previous experience, while others struggle to calibrate their increased strength and speed to avoid damaging equipment or injuring allies during routine activities. The integration period following successful completion of the Rubicon Primaris typically requires several months of intensive training and conditioning, as the enhanced warrior learns to fully utilize their new capabilities. Chapter training cadres have developed specialized programs designed to help veterans adapt to their enhanced physiology, though these programs must be carefully tailored to account for the specific combat roles and tactical specializations of individual Marines. Devastator Marines who undergo the procedure often find that their enhanced strength and stability allow them to employ heavy weapons with greater effectiveness, while Assault Marines discover that their improved agility and reaction times enable more aggressive close-quarters tactics. The enhanced physiology of Primaris Space Marines necessitated a complete reimagining of their weapons and equipment, as traditional Astartes wargear proved inadequate for warriors whose capabilities exceeded those of their predecessors in every measurable parameter. Belisarius Cawl's weapons development programs, conducted in parallel with his biological enhancement research, produced an arsenal specifically calibrated to complement the improved strength, speed, and durability of the Primaris Marines, while addressing tactical requirements that had emerged from 10 millennia of continuous warfare across the galaxy. The bolt rifle represents the cornerstone of Primaris small arms technology, embodying a fundamental departure from the traditional bolt weapon philosophy that had dominated Astartes armaments since the Great Crusade, where the venerable bolt gun prioritized rapid-fire capability and close-quarters effectiveness. Cawl designed the bolt rifle to exploit the enhanced accuracy and stability provided by Primaris Marines' improved muscular control and proprioceptive systems. The weapon features an extended barrel that increases muzzle velocity significantly compared to standard bolt weapons, while its refined firing mechanism reduces recoil to levels that allow even rapid follow-up shots to maintain pinpoint accuracy. The ammunition employed by bolt rifles utilizes an improved bolt design that incorporates lessons learned from millennia of combat against increasingly sophisticated enemy armor systems. The enhanced bolt rounds feature redesigned mass reactive tips that provide superior penetration against both conventional armor plating and the exotic materials employed by Xenos forces, while their explosive charges have been calibrated to deliver maximum damage within the confined spaces typical of boarding actions and urban warfare. The improved propellant systems ensure consistent performance across a wide range of environmental conditions, from the vacuum of space to the corrosive atmospheres of death worlds. Tactical applications of the standard bolt rifle emphasize its versatility across multiple engagement ranges and combat scenarios. Primaris Marines equipped with these weapons can engage targets effectively at distances that would challenge traditional bolt gun users, while maintaining the stopping power necessary for close-quarters combat. The weapon's balanced design allows for rapid target acquisition and engagement, making it particularly effective in fluid combat situations where Marines must engage multiple targets at varying distances within short time frames. The auto-bolt rifle variant addresses the specific requirements of suppressive fire and high-intensity engagements, where volume of fire proves more critical than individual shot precision. This weapon incorporates a modified firing mechanism that allows for both semi-automatic precision fire and full automatic suppression modes, with the enhanced strength of Primaris Marines enabling them to control the weapon's recoil even during sustained automatic fire. The auto-bolt rifle's larger magazine capacity and improved cooling systems allow for extended engagement periods without the weapon overheating or requiring frequent ammunition changes. Combat doctrine for auto-bolt rifle equipped units emphasizes aggressive fire and movement tactics that exploit the weapon's ability to maintain accuracy while the user is in motion. Primaris Marines can advance under their own covering fire, using the weapon's suppressive capabilities to pin enemy forces while closing to more effective engagement ranges. The weapon proves particularly valuable in urban combat environments where Marines must clear buildings or fortified positions, as its ability to deliver sustained, accurate fire allows small units to suppress larger enemy forces while maneuvering for advantageous positions. The Stalker bolt rifle represents the precision end of the bolt weapon spectrum, designed specifically for designated marksmen and long-range engagement specialists within Primaris formations. This weapon features an extended barrel with integrated stabilization systems that work in conjunction with the enhanced steadiness provided by Primaris physiology to deliver exceptional accuracy at extended ranges. The weapon's scope systems incorporate advanced targeting algorithms and environmental compensation features that automatically adjust for wind, gravity, and atmospheric conditions. Specialized ammunition developed for the Stalker bolt rifle includes armor-piercing variants designed to defeat heavy enemy armor at extended ranges, as well as specialized rounds optimized for different target types. The weapon's semi-automatic firing system prioritizes accuracy over rate of fire, with each shot carefully regulated to minimize barrel movement and maintain consistent point of impact. The enhanced sighting systems allow Primaris marksmen to engage targets at ranges that approach those traditionally associated with dedicated sniper weapons, while retaining the stopping power characteristic of bolt weaponry. The tactical employment of Stalker bolt rifles within Primaris formations typically involves their integration into tactical squads as designated marksman weapons, providing long-range precision capability without requiring separate specialist units. This approach allows Primaris forces to engage priority targets at extended ranges while maintaining the flexibility to adapt to changing tactical situations. The weapon's effectiveness against enemy leaders, heavy weapon operators, and other high-value targets makes it particularly valuable in conflicts where eliminating key enemy personnel can significantly impact overall enemy effectiveness. Heavy support weapons developed for Primaris forces reflect the enhanced warrior's ability to employ crew-served weapons as individual infantry weapons, dramatically increasing the firepower available to small unit formations. The heavy bolt rifle exemplifies this approach, delivering the firepower traditionally associated with heavy bolters while remaining manageable for individual Primaris Marines. The weapon's design incorporates advanced recoil compensation systems and ergonomic features that allow sustained fire without the stability issues that would affect traditional Astartes attempting to employ similar weapons without proper bracing. The ammunition feed systems employed by heavy bolt rifles utilize high-capacity magazines and belt-fed configurations that minimize reload requirements during sustained engagements. The weapon's cooling systems incorporate heat dissipation technology that prevents overheating even during extended firing sequences, while its construction utilizes materials that maintain structural integrity under the extreme stresses generated by continuous heavy bolt round discharge. The weapon's effectiveness against light vehicles and fortified positions makes it particularly valuable in assault operations, where Primaris forces must breach enemy defensive positions. Plasma incinerators represent Cawl's refinement of plasma weapon technology, addressing the reliability and safety issues that had historically limited the widespread deployment of plasma weapons among Astartes forces. The enhanced metabolic regulation provided by Primaris physiology allows these warriors to better tolerate the extreme heat generated by plasma weapons, while improved cooling systems and containment fields reduce the risk of catastrophic weapon failure that had made plasma weapons dangerous to their users. The tactical applications of plasma incinerators focus on engaging heavily armored targets that prove resistant to conventional bolt weaponry. The weapon's ability to deliver concentrated plasma bursts capable of melting through ceramite armor plating and energy shields makes it particularly effective against enemy elites and light vehicles. The improved safety systems allow Primaris Marines to employ overcharge firing modes with reduced risk, significantly increasing the weapon's damage output when engaging particularly resilient targets. The Onslaught Gatling Cannon represents the pinnacle of Primaris heavy weapons technology, designed specifically to exploit the enhanced strength and stability of Primaris Marines to create a truly devastating anti-infantry weapon system. The weapon's multiple rotating barrels allow for sustained high-rate fire that can saturate target areas with devastating effect, while its ammunition feed systems ensure continuous operation during extended engagements. The weapon's recoil management systems and gyroscopic stabilization enable Primaris Marines to maintain accuracy even while firing at maximum rate. Specialized equipment developed for Primaris forces addresses the unique operational requirements created by their enhanced capabilities and tactical roles. Grav chutes represent a significant advancement over traditional jump pack technology, providing Primaris Marines with the ability to conduct precision insertions from high altitude while maintaining full combat readiness upon landing. The chutes incorporate advanced guidance systems that allow for accurate navigation to specific landing zones, while their compact design minimizes the equipment burden on individual Marines. The tactical applications of Grav chute-equipped forces focus on rapid deployment and vertical envelopment tactics that exploit the enhanced durability and combat effectiveness of Primaris Marines. Units can be inserted directly into combat zones from aircraft or orbital platforms, allowing them to bypass enemy defensive positions and engage targets from unexpected directions. The enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines enable them to engage in combat immediately upon landing, without the vulnerability period that typically affects conventional airborne forces. Omni-scramblers provide Primaris forces with advanced electronic warfare capabilities that prove crucial in conflicts against technologically sophisticated enemies. These devices can disrupt enemy communications, targeting systems, and vehicle electronics within their operational range, creating tactical advantages that complement the enhanced combat capabilities of Primaris Marines. The Scrambler's compact design allows them to be integrated into standard Primaris equipment loadouts without significantly impacting mobility or combat effectiveness. The Mark X power armor system represents a complete redesign of Space Marine protective equipment, optimized specifically for the enhanced physiology and operational requirements of Primaris Marines. The armor's larger size accommodates the increased physical dimensions of Primaris warriors while providing superior protection through advanced materials and construction techniques. The armor's power systems deliver enhanced strength amplification that works synergistically with the natural capabilities provided by Primaris genetic modifications, creating warriors whose effective strength exceeds the sum of their biological and technological enhancements. The armor's integrated systems include advanced life support, communication, and targeting equipment that provides Primaris Marines with unprecedented battlefield awareness and coordination capabilities. The helmet systems incorporate multi-spectrum vision enhancement, threat identification algorithms, and communication systems that maintain connectivity even in environments with severe electromagnetic interference. The armor's modular design allows for rapid field modification and repair, while its standardized components simplify logistics and maintenance requirements across different operational theaters. Environmental adaptation systems built into Mark X armor enable Primaris Marines to operate effectively in extreme conditions that would challenge even traditional Astartes equipment. The armor's sealed systems provide complete protection against chemical and biological weapons, while its thermal regulation systems maintain optimal operating temperatures in environments ranging from Arctic cold to volcanic heat. The armor's radiation shielding and warp field resistance provide enhanced protection against exotic weapons and the corrupting influences of chaos. The evolution of melee weapons for Primaris forces reflects both their enhanced physical capabilities and the changing nature of close-quarters combat in the 41st millennium. Traditional chainswords, while effective against most opponents, proved inadequate for warriors whose enhanced strength could generate forces that exceeded the weapon's structural limits. Cawl's development teams created reinforced chainsword variants that incorporate improved materials and construction techniques, allowing them to withstand the stresses generated by Primaris combat techniques while maintaining the reliability that had made chainswords the standard Astartes melee weapon. Power swords designed specifically for Primaris feature enhanced power field generators and improved blade materials that can channel the increased force generated by enhanced warriors without compromising the weapon's disruptive field integrity. The weapon's ergonomic design accounts for the increased hand size and grip strength of Primaris Marines, while their balanced construction ensures optimal handling characteristics despite their larger overall dimensions. The enhanced power systems provide improved cutting capability against heavily armored targets, while maintaining the precision necessary for skilled swordsmanship. Master-crafted weapons represent the pinnacle of Primaris melee weapon technology, incorporating techniques and materials that exceed even the high standards typical of Astartes equipment. These weapons are individually crafted by the most skilled artisans within the Adeptus Mechanicus, with each weapon tailored to the specific combat style and preferences of its intended wielder. The enhanced materials and construction techniques employed in master-crafted weapons provide superior durability and effectiveness, while their aesthetic refinement reflects the status and achievements of the warriors who bear them. The integration of advanced targeting systems and weapon optimization protocols allows Primaris Marines to achieve unprecedented effectiveness with their enhanced arsenal. Helmet-mounted displays provide real-time ballistic calculations, target identification, and ammunition status information that enables more effective weapon employment across all engagement ranges. The armor's integrated systems can automatically adjust weapon settings based on environmental conditions and target types, ensuring optimal performance without requiring conscious attention from the warrior during combat operations. The organizational structure that emerged from the Ultima founding represented a careful balance between revolutionary innovation and adherence to the sacred principles established in the Codex Astartes. Roboute Guilliman's return provided the authority necessary to implement sweeping changes to Space Marine organization while maintaining the fundamental framework that had governed Astartes operations for 10 millennia. The integration of Primaris Marines into existing chapter structures required extensive modification of traditional tactical doctrines, yet these changes occurred within the established boundaries of the 1,000-strong chapter organization that formed the cornerstone of imperial military doctrine. The restructured company organization maintained the traditional 10-company structure, while incorporating specialized Primaris units that operated according to enhanced tactical principles. Each company retained its designated role within the broader chapter hierarchy, but the integration of Primaris Marines fundamentally altered the capabilities and operational methods of every formation. The enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris warriors allowed for more aggressive tactical approaches, while their improved equipment enabled engagement parameters that exceeded those available to traditional Astartes formations. First companies across Primaris enhanced chapters underwent the most dramatic organizational changes, as the integration of enhanced veterans created formations whose combat effectiveness exceeded anything previously seen in imperial military history. These companies combined the tactical experience and battlefield wisdom of veteran Space Marines with the superior physical capabilities and advanced equipment of Primaris warriors. The resulting formations proved capable of undertaking missions that would have required multiple companies of traditional Astartes, fundamentally altering strategic planning considerations for chapter masters across the Imperium. The veteran company's enhanced capabilities became particularly apparent during boarding actions and siege warfare, where the combination of Primaris durability and veteran tactical expertise created formations that could breach enemy defenses previously considered impregnable. During the defense of Vigilis, First Company formations demonstrated the ability to hold defensive positions against overwhelming odds, while simultaneously conducting counterattacks that disrupted enemy operational plans. The enhanced warrior's ability to absorb damage that would have incapacitated traditional Marines allowed these formations to maintain combat effectiveness throughout extended engagements. Battle companies incorporating Primaris Marines developed tactical flexibility that exceeded the capabilities of traditional formations through the integration of specialized squads that could adapt to changing battlefield conditions without requiring external support. The enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines allowed individual squads to perform roles that previously required coordination between multiple units, creating formations that could respond rapidly to tactical developments without waiting for reinforcement or reorganization. The tactical squad structure that formed the backbone of battle company organization underwent significant refinement to accommodate the enhanced capabilities of Primaris Marines. Traditional tactical squads had balanced close quarters and ranged combat capabilities through the integration of special and heavy weapons within 10 Marine formations, but Primaris tactical doctrine emphasized the superior baseline capabilities of enhanced warriors equipped with standardized weapon systems. This approach created formations whose collective firepower exceeded that of traditional tactical squads while maintaining the flexibility necessary for diverse mission requirements. Reserve companies found their traditional roles expanded significantly through the integration of Primaris capabilities that allowed specialized formations to operate independently rather than merely supporting battle company operations. The enhanced durability and combat effectiveness of Primaris Marines enabled reserve companies to undertake primary combat roles that would have been beyond the capabilities of traditional formations, fundamentally altering chapter deployment strategies and operational planning considerations. Battleline squads formed around Intercessor Marines represented the most fundamental innovation in Primaris tactical organization, creating formations that served as the backbone of enhanced Astartes operations while providing unprecedented flexibility in combat applications. These squads abandoned the mixed weapon approach that had characterized traditional tactical squads in favor of standardized equipment loadouts that maximize the inherent advantages provided by Primaris genetic enhancements and Mark X power armor systems. The Intercessor Squad organization emphasized the superior accuracy and range provided by bolt rifle weapon systems, creating formations that could engage enemy forces effectively at distances that exceeded traditional tactical squad capabilities. The enhanced strength and stability provided by Primaris physiology allowed squad members to maintain accurate fire while advancing or maneuvering, eliminating the static firing positions that had often limited traditional tactical squad effectiveness. This mobility advantage proved particularly valuable in urban combat environments, where squads needed to advance through contested terrain while maintaining suppressive fire against enemy positions. Tactical flexibility within intercessor formations emerged from their ability to adapt their combat role based on weapon configuration rather than squad composition changes. Squads equipped with standard bolt rifles excelled in balanced engagements that required both mobility and firepower, while those armed with auto-bolt rifles provided suppressive fire capabilities that approached those of traditional Devastator squads. Stalker bolt rifle configurations created designated marksman capabilities within standard infantry formations, eliminating the need for separate specialist units in many tactical situations. The enhanced durability provided by Primaris genetic modifications allowed intercessor squads to maintain combat effectiveness under conditions that would have forced traditional tactical squads to seek cover or withdraw from engagement. Field reports from numerous combat theaters documented intercessor formations continuing to advance and engage targets while absorbing casualty levels that would have broken traditional Astartes units. This resilience proved particularly valuable during assault operations, where squads needed to cross open terrain under enemy fire or maintain offensive momentum despite taking losses. Command and control capabilities within intercessor squads benefited significantly from the advanced communication and targeting systems integrated into Mark X power armor. Squad leaders could coordinate with supporting elements and higher command levels while maintaining direct engagement with enemy forces, creating tactical responsiveness that exceeded traditional formation capabilities. The armor's integrated targeting systems allowed for real-time coordination of fire missions and tactical movements, without requiring dedicated communication specialists or external coordination assets. Close support squads incorporating assault intercessors, reavers, and inceptors provided Primaris formations with specialized capabilities that addressed specific tactical requirements while maintaining integration with broader formation structures. These specialized units represented departures from traditional Astartes organization that emphasized the enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines while addressing operational needs that had emerged from centuries of combat experience across diverse theaters. Assault intercessor squads embodied the aggressive close-quarters combat doctrine that emerged from Primaris tactical development, creating formations specifically optimized for breaching enemy defensive positions and engaging in melee combat. These squads abandoned the ranged fire support capabilities that characterized traditional assault marines in favor of enhanced close-quarters weapons and tactics that exploited the superior strength and speed provided by Primaris genetic modifications. The squad's heavy bolt pistols provided effective close-range firepower during the approach to melee engagement, while their chainswords incorporated design improvements that could withstand the forces generated by enhanced Astartes strength. The tactical employment of assault intercessor squads focused on rapid assault operations that required immediate engagement of enemy positions without preliminary bombardment or extensive fire support. The enhanced durability of Primaris Marines allowed these formations to absorb defensive fire during their assault approach, while maintaining sufficient combat effectiveness to overwhelm enemy positions through aggressive melee combat. This capability proved particularly valuable in urban warfare scenarios where traditional fire support assets could not effectively engage enemy positions without causing excessive collateral damage. Reaver squads represented a complete departure from traditional Astartes tactical doctrine, incorporating stealth and psychological warfare capabilities that had previously been associated with specialized Imperial Guard or Adeptus Astartes scout formations. These units combined the enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines with specialized equipment and training that emphasized infiltration, sabotage, and terror tactics designed to disrupt enemy operations before conventional assault forces engaged primary targets. The grav chutes employed by Reaver squads enabled precision insertion capabilities that allowed small formations to infiltrate enemy-controlled territory without detection while maintaining the combat effectiveness necessary to engage priority targets upon arrival. The enhanced strength and agility provided by Primaris genetic modifications allowed Reaver Marines to navigate complex terrain and obstacles that would challenge traditional infiltration specialists, while their superior durability enabled them to survive detection and continue operations even when compromised. Shock grenades and grapnel launchers provided Reaver squads with tactical capabilities that complemented their infiltration role while enabling direct combat applications when stealth operations transitioned to open warfare. The psychological impact of Reaver operations often exceeded their immediate tactical effects, as enemy forces subjected to infiltration attacks frequently developed defensive paranoia that compromised their operational effectiveness even when no Reaver units were present in their operational area. Inceptor squads incorporated jump pack technology that had been refined specifically for Primaris physiology, creating formations that combined the mobility advantages of traditional assault marines with the enhanced firepower and durability characteristic of Primaris forces. The improved jump packs provided greater range and precision than traditional systems, while incorporating safety features that reduced the mechanical failures that had historically limited jump pack reliability during extended operations. The assault bolters employed by Inceptor squads delivered firepower that approached that of traditional heavy weapons while maintaining the mobility necessary for jump pack operations. The enhanced strength of Primaris Marines allowed them to control the recoil generated by these weapons during flight and landing operations, creating formations that could deliver devastating firepower against enemy positions while maintaining the tactical mobility necessary to avoid counterattacks or reposition for subsequent engagements. Plasma Exterminator variants provided Inceptor squads with anti-armor capabilities that enabled them to engage heavily protected targets that would resist conventional assault bolter fire. The improved plasma weapon technology developed for Primaris forces reduced the overheating risks that had historically made plasma weapons dangerous to their users, while the enhanced metabolic regulation provided by Primaris genetic modifications allowed warriors to better tolerate the extreme heat generated by sustained plasma weapon discharge. Fire support squads featuring Hellblasters, Aggressors, and Eliminators represented the evolution of traditional Devastator squad doctrine to accommodate the enhanced capabilities and tactical requirements of Primaris forces. These specialized formations provided heavy weapons support that exceeded the capabilities of traditional formations, while maintaining the mobility and tactical flexibility necessary for modern combined arms operations. Hellblaster squads embodied the refinement of plasma weapon technology that had been achieved through Cawl's research programs, creating formations that could deliver concentrated anti-armor firepower without the reliability concerns that had historically limited plasma weapon deployment. The standardized plasma incinerator armament eliminated the mixed weapon approach that characterized traditional Devastator squads, creating formations whose collective firepower could be coordinated more effectively while simplifying logistics and maintenance requirements. The tactical employment of Hellblaster squads emphasized their ability to engage heavily armored targets at extended ranges while maintaining sufficient mobility to reposition as battlefield conditions changed. The enhanced durability provided by Primaris genetic modifications allowed these formations to operate in forward positions where traditional heavy weapons teams would be vulnerable to enemy counter fire, while their standardized equipment enabled rapid target engagement without the coordination delays that affected mixed weapon formations. Assault Hellblaster variants provided close-range anti-armor capabilities that complemented the long-range precision of standard configurations, creating formations that could adapt their engagement parameters based on tactical requirements without requiring external support or reorganization. The improved plasma weapon cooling systems enabled sustained fire during extended engagements while reducing the weapon maintenance requirements that had historically limited plasma weapon operational availability. Aggressor squads represented a complete innovation in Space Marine heavy weapons doctrine, combining the firepower traditionally associated with Devastator formations with the mobility and close quarters combat capability characteristic of Assault Marines. These formations utilized power fists and boltstorm gauntlets that provided both devastating melee combat capability and significant ranged firepower, creating versatile units that could adapt to changing tactical situations without requiring external support. The boltstorm gauntlets employed by aggressor squads delivered firepower that approached that of traditional heavy bolters while maintaining the mobility necessary for aggressive tactical movements. The enhanced strength provided by Primaris genetic modifications allowed warriors to employ these weapons effectively while wearing the heavy armor necessary for close quarters combat, creating formations that could advance under fire while delivering suppressive fire against enemy positions. Flamestorm Gauntlet variants provided area denial capabilities that proved particularly effective in urban combat environments and boarding actions, where enemy forces attempted to use confined spaces to negate Space Marine advantages. The enhanced metabolic regulation provided by Primaris genetic modifications offered improved resistance to the extreme heat generated by flamestorm weapons, while the integrated nature of the weapon systems eliminated the vulnerability periods associated with traditional flamer weapon reloading procedures. Eliminator squads fulfilled the precision engagement role that had traditionally been assigned to scout marine formations, while incorporating the enhanced capabilities and equipment characteristic of full Primaris Marines. These formations combine the stealth and marksmanship capabilities necessary for designated marksman operations with the durability and combat effectiveness that enabled them to operate independently in contested environments without requiring extensive support assets. The bolt sniper rifles employed by Eliminator squads provided precision engagement capabilities that exceeded traditional sniper weapon performance while maintaining compatibility with the standardized ammunition systems used by other Primaris formations. The enhanced accuracy and stability provided by Primaris physiology enabled these weapons to achieve hit probabilities that approached those of dedicated sniper systems while retaining the stopping power characteristic of bolt weaponry. Specialized ammunition types developed for Eliminator operations included Morty's rounds designed for maximum lethality against individual targets, hyperfrag rounds optimized for engaging multiple enemies in confined spaces, and executioner rounds capable of penetrating heavy armor at extended ranges. The variety of available ammunition types allowed Eliminator squads to adapt their engagement parameters based on target characteristics and tactical requirements without changing weapon systems or requiring external support assets. The integration of these specialized fire support formations into combined arms tactical doctrine required extensive modification of traditional Space Marine operational methods. The enhanced capabilities provided by Primaris genetic modifications and equipment systems enabled smaller formations to accomplish missions that would previously have required coordination between multiple specialized units, creating tactical flexibility that exceeded traditional Astartes capabilities while maintaining the disciplined approach to warfare that had characterized Space Marine operations throughout Imperial history. The mechanized warfare capabilities that accompanied the Primaris Marines represented as radical a departure from traditional Astartes doctrine as the enhanced warriors themselves. Belisarius Cawl's vehicle development programs, conducted in parallel with his genetic enhancement research, produced an entirely new generation of war machines that exploited anti-gravitational propulsion technology to create vehicles whose tactical applications transcended the limitations that had constrained conventional Space Marine armor for millennia. These vehicles abandoned the tracked and wheeled propulsion systems that had characterized Imperial military vehicles since the Great Crusade, instead utilizing repulsor field generators that provided unprecedented mobility across diverse terrain types while maintaining the firepower and protection necessary for modern combined arms operations. The repulsor main battle tank emerged as the cornerstone of Primaris mechanized formations, embodying design principles that prioritized tactical flexibility and battlefield survivability over the specialized role focus that had characterized traditional Space Marine vehicles. The tank's anti-gravitational propulsion system eliminated the ground pressure limitations that restricted conventional armor deployment, enabling the vehicle to traverse terrain that would prove impassable for tracked vehicles, while maintaining speeds that exceeded those achievable by traditional hover technology. The repulsor fields generated by the tank's propulsion system created a cushion of displaced air that allowed the vehicle to skim across water surfaces, navigate through dense vegetation, and traverse rocky terrain that would damage conventional suspension systems. The primary armament configuration of the repulsor centered around a turret-mounted heavy onslaught Gatling cannon that provided devastating anti-infantry firepower while maintaining sufficient armor penetration capability to threaten light vehicles and fortified positions. The weapon's multiple rotating barrels enabled sustained fire rates that could saturate target areas with overwhelming firepower, while its ammunition feed systems ensured continuous operation during extended engagements. The Gatling cannon's gyroscopic stabilization systems maintained accuracy even while the tank maneuvered at high speed across uneven terrain, creating a mobile fire platform that could engage targets effectively while advancing or retreating. Secondary armament systems, integrated throughout the repulsor's hull, provided comprehensive defensive coverage against threats approaching from multiple vectors simultaneously. The twin Las Talon sponson weapons delivered precision anti-armor capability that complemented the area suppression provided by the main armament, while storm bolter arrays positioned at strategic points around the vehicle's perimeter created overlapping fields of fire that prevented enemy infantry from approaching within effective assault range. The vehicle's onslaught Gatling cannon could be replaced with alternative weapon systems based on mission requirements, including Las Talon configurations for enhanced anti-armor capability or macroplasma incinerator systems for engaging heavily fortified targets. The repulsor's transport capacity accommodated 10 fully equipped Primaris Marines while maintaining the firepower and protection necessary for direct combat operations. The passenger compartment featured individual restraint systems designed to secure enhanced warriors during high-speed maneuvering, while integrated life support systems provided environmental protection in hostile atmospheres or vacuum conditions. The vehicle's rear access ramp incorporated defensive systems that could provide covering fire during embarkation and disembarkation procedures, while the passenger compartment's firing ports allowed transported Marines to engage targets while remaining under the vehicle's protective armor. Combat deployment of repulsor tanks emphasized their ability to function as both transport vehicles and main battle tanks, creating formations that could deliver infantry forces directly to combat zones while providing immediate fire support without requiring separate armored assets. The vehicle's speed and agility enabled rapid insertion operations that placed Primaris Marines in optimal tactical positions before enemy forces could respond effectively, while the tank's firepower provided the suppressive capability necessary to establish and maintain secure landing zones in contested territory. The repulsor executioner represented the evolution of the basic repulsor designed toward a dedicated tank hunting role, incorporating heavier armor and specialized anti-armor weaponry that enabled engagement of enemy heavy armor at extended ranges. The vehicle's primary armament options included macroplasma incinerators capable of melting through the heaviest armor plating, heavy laser destroyers that delivered precision energy beams with devastating armor penetration capability, and heavy onslaught Gatling cannons that provided overwhelming firepower against multiple targets simultaneously. The executioner's enhanced armor protection incorporated additional ceramite plating and energy dissipation systems that provided superior resistance to enemy anti-armor weapons, while its improved power systems supported the energy requirements of heavy directed energy weapons without compromising mobility or defensive systems. The vehicle's targeting systems featured advanced range-finding and ballistic computation capabilities that enabled accurate engagement of targets at maximum weapon range, while integrated threat assessment algorithms prioritized targets based on their potential danger to friendly forces. Tactical employment of repulsor executioners focused on their ability to engage enemy armor formations at ranges that exceeded the effective engagement distance of most opposing weapon systems. The vehicle's mobility enabled it to occupy advantageous firing positions rapidly, while maintaining the ability to relocate before enemy forces could coordinate effective counterattacks. The executioner's firepower proved particularly effective against enemy super heavy vehicles and fortified positions that resisted conventional anti-armor weapons, while its transport capacity allowed it to deliver specialist anti-armor teams directly to optimal engagement positions. The integration of macroplasma incinerator systems required extensive modifications to the vehicle's power distribution and cooling systems, as the extreme energy requirements of sustained plasma weapon discharge exceeded the capabilities of standard vehicle power plants. The executioner's enhanced reactor systems incorporated redundant cooling circuits and emergency shutdown procedures that prevented catastrophic overload while maintaining weapon availability during extended engagements. The plasma containment systems featured multiple safety interlocks that prevented the containment field failures that had historically made plasma weapons dangerous to their operators. The Impulsor transport represented a fundamental reimagining of Space Marine rapid deployment capabilities, creating a vehicle that prioritized speed and tactical flexibility over the heavy armor and firepower that characterized traditional Astartes transports. The vehicle's streamlined design and powerful repulsor field generators enabled speeds that exceeded those of conventional hover vehicles, while maintaining sufficient armor protection to survive transit through contested airspace and hostile terrain. The Impulsor's modular weapon configuration system allowed rapid reconfiguration of armament based on mission requirements without requiring extensive maintenance or specialized equipment. Standard Impulsor configurations featured defensive armament that provided protection against infantry threats and light vehicles, while maintaining the speed necessary for rapid insertion operations. The vehicle's Storm Bolter arrays created overlapping fields of fire that prevented enemy infantry from effectively engaging the transport during embarkation and disembarkation procedures, while its Fragstorm grenade launcher provided area denial capability that could clear landing zones of enemy personnel. The transport's 6 Marine capacity reflected its role as a rapid deployment platform rather than a frontline combat vehicle, emphasizing speed and tactical mobility over passenger capacity. The modular weapon system enabled Impulsor crews to adapt their vehicles' capabilities based on anticipated threats and mission requirements through the installation of specialized weapon pods that replaced standard defensive armament. Shield dome configurations provided enhanced protection for transported personnel through the generation of energy barriers that deflected incoming projectiles and energy weapons, while Iron Hail heavy stubber installations delivered sustained anti-infantry firepower that exceeded the capability of standard defensive weapons. Orbital comms array variants enabled extended range communication capabilities that proved crucial for coordinating operations across wide geographic areas or in environments with significant electromagnetic interference. Tactical deployment of Impulsor transports emphasized their ability to deliver small Primaris formations directly to critical objectives while maintaining the speed necessary to avoid prolonged engagement with enemy forces. The vehicle's acceleration capabilities enabled rapid extraction of inserted forces when tactical situations required immediate withdrawal, while its maneuverability allowed navigation through terrain that would challenge conventional transport vehicles. The Impulsor's relatively light armor required careful tactical employment that avoided direct confrontation with heavy enemy weapons, instead relying on speed and surprise to accomplish insertion and extraction missions successfully. The vehicle's advanced navigation systems incorporated terrain following capabilities that enabled low-altitude flight profiles that minimized exposure to enemy detection and anti-aircraft systems. The Impulsor's repulsor field generators could be configured for silent running modes that reduced the electromagnetic signature typically associated with anti-gravitational propulsion, enabling covert insertion operations that required minimal noise and sensor visibility. These capabilities proved particularly valuable for special operations missions that required the insertion of small teams into heavily defended enemy territory without alerting opposing forces to their presence. Aerial support capabilities provided by Storm Speeder variants addressed the close air support and reconnaissance requirements that had historically been fulfilled by aircraft, whose performance characteristics proved inadequate for the rapid tactical developments characteristic of Primaris operations. The Storm Speeder platform incorporated anti-gravitational propulsion technology that provided superior maneuverability compared to conventional aircraft, while maintaining sufficient speed and altitude capability for effective air support missions. The vehicle's compact size and advanced stealth systems enabled operations in contested airspace where larger aircraft would prove vulnerable to enemy anti-aircraft defenses. The Storm Speeder Hailstrike variant specialized in anti-infantry operations that required precision engagement of ground targets while maintaining sufficient mobility to avoid enemy air defense systems. The vehicle's twin assault cannons provided devastating firepower against enemy infantry formations and light vehicles, while its onslaught Gatling cannon delivered additional suppressive capability that could pin enemy forces during friendly ground operations. The Hailstrike's targeting systems incorporated advanced threat identification algorithms that could distinguish between friendly and enemy forces in complex tactical situations, enabling close air support operations in environments where traditional aircraft would risk fratricide incidents. Combat employment of Hailstrike variants emphasized their ability to provide immediate fire support for ground operations, while maintaining sufficient tactical mobility to respond rapidly to changing battlefield conditions. The vehicle's speed enabled rapid transit between multiple combat zones within a single operational area, allowing limited air assets to provide support for widely dispersed ground formations. The Hailstrike's firepower proved particularly effective against enemy infantry concentrations and light vehicles that attempted to maneuver against friendly ground forces, while its mobility enabled engagement of targets that would be difficult for ground-based heavy weapons to reach effectively. The Storm Speeder Hammerstrike addressed anti-armor requirements that exceeded the capabilities of standard air support platforms, incorporating specialized weapons systems designed to engage heavily armored targets from optimal attack angles. The vehicle's melted destroyer armament delivered concentrated thermal energy that could penetrate the heaviest armor plating, while its Crackstorm grenade launcher provided additional anti-armor capability against multiple targets simultaneously. The Hammerstrike's targeting systems featured advanced armor penetration analysis algorithms that identified optimal impact points for maximum damage effectiveness. Tactical deployment of Hammerstrike variants focused on their ability to engage enemy armor from attack angles that exploited weak points in defensive armor configurations, particularly the thinner top armor that characterized most ground vehicles. The vehicle's altitude capability enabled attack profiles that approached targets from above, bypassing frontal armor systems that provided maximum protection against ground-based anti-armor weapons. The Hammerstrike's speed enabled rapid engagement sequences that minimized exposure to enemy air defense systems while maintaining sufficient accuracy for effective target engagement. The Storm Speeder Thunderstrike fulfilled reconnaissance and target designation roles that required extended operational endurance and sophisticated sensor systems rather than heavy armament. The vehicle's Law's Talon and heavy bolter armament provided sufficient firepower for self-defense and engagement of opportunity targets, while its advanced sensor suite enabled detailed battlefield reconnaissance and target acquisition for supporting artillery and airstrikes. The Thunderstrike's communication systems incorporated quantum entanglement transceivers that maintained connectivity with command elements even in environments with severe electromagnetic interference. Reconnaissance missions conducted by Thunderstrike variants emphasized their ability to operate independently in contested territory while gathering intelligence information that proved crucial for tactical planning and operational coordination. The vehicle's stealth systems enabled covert observation of enemy positions and movements without alerting opposing forces to the presence of friendly reconnaissance assets, while its speed provided the capability to withdraw rapidly when detection became likely. The Thunderstrike sensor systems could penetrate camouflage and concealment measures that would defeat conventional reconnaissance methods, providing detailed intelligence about enemy capabilities and intentions. Fast attack capabilities provided by Invader ATVs and Outrider bike squadrons addressed the mobility and harassment requirements that had historically been fulfilled by conventional wheeled vehicles, whose performance proved inadequate for the enhanced capabilities and tactical requirements of Primaris forces. These vehicles incorporated anti-gravitational propulsion technology that provided superior cross-country mobility while maintaining the speed and agility necessary for effective reconnaissance and harassment operations across diverse terrain types. The Invader ATV represented a complete departure from traditional Imperial reconnaissance vehicle design, incorporating a compact anti-gravitational propulsion system that enabled rapid movement across terrain that would prove impassable for conventional wheeled or tracked vehicles. The vehicle's two Marine crew configuration provided optimal balance between operational capability and resource efficiency, while its weapon systems delivered firepower that exceeded that available to traditional reconnaissance platforms. The ATV's Onslaught Gatling cannon provided devastating anti-infantry capability, while its heavy bolter variants delivered precision firepower against point targets and light vehicles. Tactical employment of Invader ATVs emphasized their ability to conduct rapid reconnaissance missions that provided real-time intelligence about enemy positions and movements, while maintaining sufficient firepower to engage opportunity targets effectively. The vehicle's speed enabled rapid transit across wide geographic areas, allowing limited reconnaissance assets to maintain surveillance over extensive operational zones. The ATV's cross-country mobility proved particularly valuable in terrain that would channel conventional vehicles into predictable movement corridors, enabling reconnaissance operations that avoided enemy observation and interdiction efforts. The vehicle's compact size and advanced stealth systems enabled covert observation missions that required minimal electromagnetic signature and visual profile, while its speed provided rapid extraction capability when detection became likely. The Invader's communication systems maintained connectivity with supporting elements across extended ranges, enabling real-time transmission of intelligence information that proved crucial for tactical coordination and operational planning. The vehicle's endurance capabilities enabled extended missions that would exhaust conventional reconnaissance platforms, while its maintenance requirements remained within acceptable parameters for sustained operations. Outrider bike squadrons provided individual mobility that exceeded the capabilities of traditional Space Marine bike formations, while incorporating weapon systems that delivered firepower approaching that of light vehicles. The bike's anti-gravitational propulsion systems eliminated the mechanical complexity and maintenance requirements associated with conventional motorcycle propulsion, while providing superior speed and maneuverability across diverse terrain types. The enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines enabled them to control these high-performance vehicles effectively while engaging targets with mounted weapon systems. The twin-bolt rifles mounted on Outrider bikes delivered precision firepower that proved effective against infantry targets and light vehicles, while maintaining the accuracy necessary for engagement during high-speed maneuvering. The weapon stabilization systems compensated for vehicle movement and vibration, enabling accurate fire even during rapid acceleration or evasive maneuvering. The bike's targeting systems incorporated predictive algorithms that calculated optimal firing solutions based on vehicle speed, target movement, and environmental conditions, enabling effective engagement of moving targets during pursuit operations. Combat employment of Outrider squadrons emphasized their ability to conduct harassment operations that disrupted enemy movements and communications while avoiding decisive engagement with superior enemy forces. The bike's speed enabled rapid approach to optimal firing positions, followed by immediate withdrawal before enemy forces could coordinate effective counterattacks. The squadron's mobility proved particularly effective for interdicting enemy supply convoys and communication lines, while their firepower enabled engagement of enemy reconnaissance elements that attempted to gather intelligence about friendly positions and movements. The arrival of Primaris Marines within established Space Marine chapters created unprecedented tensions that threatened to fracture the very foundations upon which the Adeptus Astartes had operated for 10 millennia. These enhanced warriors, bearing the genetic legacy of the Emperor, yet fundamentally different from their traditional battle brothers, represented both salvation and existential threat to chapters whose identities had crystallized around practices, beliefs, and traditions that predated the current millennium by thousands of years. The integration process revealed deep philosophical divisions within the Astartes concerning the nature of honor, the sanctity of ancient customs, and the acceptable limits of change within organizations that viewed themselves as the living embodiment of the Emperor's will. The initial resistance encountered by Primaris Marines stemmed not merely from suspicion of the unknown, but from fundamental questions about legitimacy and worthiness that struck at the core of Space Marine identity. Traditional Astartes had earned their positions through trials that tested not only physical capability, but spiritual fortitude, cultural knowledge, and adherence to chapter-specific values that often trace their origins to the founding Primarchs themselves. Many veteran Marines viewed the accelerated creation process that produced Primaris warriors as a shortcut that bypassed essential character-forming experiences, creating warriors who possessed superior physical capabilities but lacked the spiritual depth that came from surviving traditional recruitment and training procedures. The enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines inadvertently exacerbated these tensions by creating visible reminders of the technological and genetic superiority that Belisarius Cawl had achieved through his millennia of secret research. Traditional Marines who had dedicated centuries to perfecting their combat skills found themselves outmatched in purely physical contests by newcomers whose enhanced strength, speed, and durability provided inherent advantages that no amount of training or experience could overcome. This disparity created resentment that manifested in various forms of passive resistance, from exclusion from informal gatherings to deliberate assignment to less prestigious duties within chapter hierarchies. The cultural divide between Firstborn and Primaris Marines became particularly pronounced in chapters whose traditions emphasized specific martial practices or spiritual observances that had evolved over millennia of continuous refinement. The Black Templars experienced significant integration difficulties as their crusading culture, built around concepts of righteous zeal and personal pilgrimage, struggled to accommodate warriors whose standardized training had not included the spiritual journeys that formed the foundation of traditional Templar identity. Primaris Marines assigned to Templar formations often found themselves excluded from the informal networks of sword brothers and crusade companies that formed the real power structure within the chapter, regardless of their official rank or combat effectiveness. The Imperial Fists and their successor chapters faced different but equally challenging integration problems rooted in their emphasis on stoic endurance and architectural precision. The chapter's pain glove traditions and meditation practices had developed as responses to the specific psychological and physiological characteristics of traditional Astartes, creating spiritual exercises that proved less effective or entirely irrelevant for Primaris Marines, whose enhanced biology responded differently to pain and stress. Many Primaris warriors struggled to find meaning in practices that seemed designed for warriors whose capabilities and limitations differed fundamentally from their own, while traditional Marines questioned whether enhanced warriors who did not share these formative experiences could truly understand the chapter's essential character. The Space Wolves presented perhaps the most complex integration challenges due to their unique gene seed characteristics and deeply ingrained cultural practices that emphasized pack loyalty and the mystical connection between warrior and chapter. The Canis helix that distinguished Space Wolf gene seed from other Astartes lineages had proven incompatible with Primaris enhancement procedures, forcing the chapter to rely entirely on Primaris Marines drawn from other genetic lineages, or created through alternative methods that produced warriors who lacked the enhanced senses and instinctive pack behaviors that defined traditional Space Wolf identity. These genetic differences created fundamental barriers to integration that extended beyond mere cultural preferences to encompass basic neurological and psychological characteristics that influenced how warriors perceived and responded to their environment. The tactical doctrine debates that emerged during integration reflected deeper philosophical divisions about the nature of warfare and the proper role of Space Marines within Imperial military structure. Traditional Astartes doctrine had evolved through 10 millennia of combat experience that emphasized the importance of adaptability, individual initiative, and the ability to function effectively with limited resources in hostile environments. Many veteran Marines viewed the standardized equipment and tactical approaches associated with Primaris forces as a regression toward the inflexible doctrines that had characterized the original Space Marine legions, sacrificing the tactical flexibility that had allowed chapters to survive and prosper in the diverse combat environments they encountered across the galaxy. The weapon standardization that characterized Primaris formations created particular friction, with chapters whose tactical identity centered around specific equipment preferences or combat specializations that had proven effective over centuries of warfare. The Salamanders experienced significant resistance to Primaris integration due to the enhanced warriors' reliance on standardized weapons that lacked the personal craftsmanship and symbolic significance that traditional Salamander Marines invested in their equipment. The chapter's emphasis on individual weaponsmithing and the spiritual connection between warrior and personally crafted tools conflicted with the mass-produced nature of Primaris equipment, creating tensions that extended beyond tactical considerations to encompass fundamental beliefs about the relationship between technology and spiritual development. The Raven Guard faced different challenges as their traditional emphasis on stealth and infiltration tactics required adaptation to accommodate the larger size and different equipment requirements of Primaris Marines. The chapter's reconnaissance and sabotage techniques had been refined over millennia to exploit the specific capabilities and limitations of traditional Astartes, creating tactical approaches that proved less effective when employed by warriors whose enhanced size made concealment more difficult, and whose standardized equipment lacked the specialized modifications that traditional Raven Guard operations required. The integration process forced the chapter to develop entirely new tactical approaches that could accommodate the capabilities of both traditional and enhanced Marines without compromising operational effectiveness. Command structure adaptations proved equally challenging as chapters struggled to integrate Primaris officers into hierarchies that had traditionally promoted based on combat experience, spiritual development, and demonstrated mastery of chapter-specific knowledge and traditions. Many Primaris Marines possess tactical knowledge and combat experience gained through accelerated training programs and simulated combat scenarios, but lacked the practical experience of leading traditional Astartes in actual combat situations. This experiential gap created reluctance among veteran Marines to accept orders from Primaris officers whose understanding of chapter traditions and combat realities remained theoretical rather than practical. The appointment of Primaris captains to lead companies containing significant numbers of traditional Marines created particularly complex situations that required careful management to maintain unit cohesion and combat effectiveness. Some chapters addressed these challenges by creating separate Primaris companies led by enhanced officers, avoiding direct command relationships between Primaris leaders and traditional Marines, while the integration process gradually reduced tensions through shared combat experience. Other chapters attempted immediate integration by appointing experienced traditional Marines as advisors to Primaris officers, creating dual command structures that sometimes resulted in confusion and inefficiency during critical combat operations. The promotion of Primaris Marines to senior positions within chapter hierarchies often generated resistance from traditional Marines, who viewed rapid advancement as evidence that enhanced warriors were receiving preferential treatment based on their physical capabilities, rather than demonstrated leadership ability and spiritual development. These perceptions created resentment that manifested in various forms of passive resistance, from reluctance to share tactical intelligence to deliberate exclusion from informal planning discussions that often proved more important than official briefings for understanding chapter priorities and operational methods. The success stories that emerged from the integration process typically involved chapters whose leadership recognized the need for gradual adaptation rather than immediate transformation of established practices and relationships. The Ultramarines achieved relatively smooth integration through Roboute Guilliman's direct involvement in managing the process, as the returned Primarch's authority provided legitimacy for changes that might otherwise have faced significant resistance. The chapter's existing emphasis on tactical flexibility and adherence to codified doctrine created a framework that could accommodate enhanced warriors without requiring fundamental changes to chapter identity or operational methods. The integration process within Ultramarines formations emphasized the complementary nature of traditional and enhanced capabilities rather than positioning Primaris Marines as replacements for existing warriors. Mixed units combine the tactical experience and institutional knowledge of veteran Marines with the enhanced physical capabilities and advanced equipment of Primaris warriors, creating formations whose collective effectiveness exceeded that achievable by homogeneous units of either type. The chapter's extensive training programs facilitated knowledge transfer between traditional and enhanced Marines, ensuring that Primaris warriors gained understanding of chapter traditions, while veteran Marines learned to incorporate new capabilities into their tactical repertoire. Several Ultramarine successor chapters followed similar integration approaches with varying degrees of success depending on their specific circumstances and leadership quality. The Nova Marines achieved effective integration by emphasizing shared combat experience as the foundation for building trust and cooperation between traditional and enhanced Marines, deploying mixed formations in challenging combat environments where mutual dependence fostered the relationships necessary for long-term unit cohesion. The Genesis chapter experienced more difficulty due to their rigid adherence to traditional practices, requiring extensive modification of training programs and operational procedures to accommodate the different capabilities and requirements of Primaris Marines. The Iron Hands presented a unique case study in integration challenges due to their emphasis on mechanical augmentation and the philosophical tensions created by genetic enhancement that competed with their traditional preference for technological modification. The chapter's belief system, which viewed biological weakness as a fundamental flaw requiring correction through mechanical replacement, struggled to accommodate warriors whose genetic enhancement represented an alternative approach to transcending human limitations. Some Iron Hands viewed Primaris enhancement as validation of their belief in the necessity of improving upon baseline human capabilities, while others saw it as an inferior alternative to the mechanical perfection they sought through cybernetic augmentation. The integration process within Iron Hands formations required careful management of philosophical differences that extended beyond tactical considerations to encompass fundamental beliefs about the nature of perfection and the proper relationship between technology and biology. The chapter's extensive use of cybernetic implants created practical challenges for integrating Primaris Marines, whose enhanced biology sometimes proved incompatible with traditional Iron Hands augmentation procedures, forcing the development of new enhancement techniques that could accommodate the different physiological characteristics of enhanced warriors. The Blood Angels and their successor chapters faced integration challenges complicated by the genetic flaws that had plagued their gene seed since the death of Sanguinius during the Horus Heresy. Both traditional and Primaris Blood Angels are afflicted by the Red Thirst and the Black Rage, though the exact intensity and frequency can vary. This shared inheritance ensured that the Primaris were not free of their father's tragic legacy. The chapters that struggled most significantly with Primaris integration typically shared characteristics that made adaptation particularly difficult, including rigid adherence to ancient traditions, strong cultural identity tied to specific practices or beliefs, and leadership that viewed change as inherently threatening to chapter integrity. The flesh terrors experienced severe integration problems due to their extreme manifestation of Blood Angel's genetic flaws, which created cultural practices and combat doctrines specifically designed to channel their aggressive tendencies in tactically useful directions. The chapter's reliance on barely controlled violence as a tactical tool proved incompatible with the disciplined approach that characterized Primaris training and equipment, creating fundamental conflicts that resisted easy resolution. The integration difficulties experienced by some chapters extended beyond internal tensions to encompass practical challenges related to equipment compatibility, training requirements, and logistical support that complicated efforts to achieve operational integration even when cultural barriers had been overcome. The different equipment requirements of Primaris Marines created supply chain complications for chapters operating in remote regions, where specialized components and maintenance expertise were difficult to obtain, while the need for separate training programs and facilities strained chapter resources that had been optimized for supporting traditional Astartes operations. The gradual resolution of integration challenges typically required years of shared combat experience that demonstrated the practical value of cooperation between traditional and enhanced Marines, while building the personal relationships necessary for effective unit cohesion. Combat deployments that required close coordination between mixed formations provided opportunities for warriors of both types to develop mutual respect based on demonstrated competence and reliability, rather than theoretical capabilities or genetic heritage. The most successful integration efforts emphasized practical cooperation in achieving shared objectives, rather than attempting to resolve philosophical differences through discussion or formal policy changes. The transformation process that allows traditional Space Marines to undergo enhancement to Primaris status represents one of the most dangerous surgical procedures ever developed within the Imperium's medical arsenal. The Rubicon Primaris, named for the ancient Terran river whose crossing marked a point of no return, requires the complete reconstruction of an Astartes warrior's enhanced physiology while maintaining the delicate biological balance that keeps him alive throughout the procedure. Belisarius Cawl's development of this process consumed centuries of research and experimentation, as the fundamental differences between traditional and enhanced Astartes biology created challenges that pushed even his considerable expertise to its limits. The surgical procedure itself involves the implantation of the 3 additional Primaris organs, while simultaneously modifying existing organ systems to accommodate the enhanced capabilities they provide. The sinew coils must be woven directly into existing muscle tissue without disrupting the neural pathways that control voluntary movement, requiring microsurgical precision that exceeds the capabilities of most apothecaries within the Adeptus Astartes. The integration process involves temporary paralysis of major muscle groups, while bioengineered coil tissue is grafted into position, creating a critical period during which the patient remains completely dependent on life support systems for basic physiological functions. The Magnificat implantation requires even more extensive surgical intervention, as the organ must establish connections with multiple existing systems, including the os medulla, the pituitary gland, and various endocrine regulatory centers throughout the enhanced warrior's body. The procedure involves drilling access points through reinforced skull plating to reach brain tissue, followed by the delicate placement of neural interfaces that will regulate growth hormone production for the remainder of the Marine's extended lifespan. The surgical team must maintain precise control over anesthesia levels throughout this phase, as too little sedation results in patient movement that could prove fatal, while excessive anesthesia can interfere with the organ integration process. The Belisarian furnace presents the greatest surgical challenge due to its complex integration requirements with existing metabolic and filtration systems. The organ must establish direct connections with the circulatory system, digestive tract, and respiratory pathways, while maintaining the functionality of existing organs that perform similar but less sophisticated functions. The surgical procedure requires the temporary rerouting of blood flow through artificial circulation systems, while surgeons create the vascular connections necessary for the furnace to process toxins and regulate metabolic functions. The patient's existing multi-lung and oolytic kidney must be modified to work in conjunction with the new organ, requiring precise calibration to prevent system conflicts that could result in organ failure. The mortality rates associated with the Rubicon Primaris vary significantly based on multiple factors, including the age and physical condition of the candidate, the quality of available medical facilities, and the experience level of the surgical team performing the procedure. Younger Marines who have accumulated fewer decades of combat damage demonstrate survival rates approaching 90% when the procedure is performed under optimal conditions with experienced medical personnel and advanced life support equipment. Veterans who have served for centuries face substantially higher risks, as accumulated scar tissue, previous injuries, and the natural degradation that affects even enhanced Astartes physiology over extended periods create complications that can prove fatal during the critical integration phase. The chapter records maintained by various formations that have employed the Rubicon Primaris reveal mortality rates ranging from as low as 60% for optimal candidates to as high as 40% survival for severely damaged veterans attempting the procedure under field conditions. These statistics reflect not only the inherent dangers of the surgical process, but also the varying quality of medical facilities and surgical expertise available to different chapters across the galaxy. Chapters with access to Forge World medical facilities and Mechanicus surgical expertise consistently achieve better outcomes than those forced to rely on chapter apothecaries working with limited equipment in combat zones. The most notable success story of the Rubicon Primaris remains the transformation of Marnius Calgar, chapter master of the Ultramarines, whose successful enhancement provided crucial validation for the procedure's viability among senior Astartes leadership. Calgar's decision to undergo the procedure represented a calculated risk that could have resulted in the loss of one of the Imperium's most experienced and capable military commanders, but his survival and successful adaptation to enhanced capabilities demonstrated that even veteran Marines could benefit from Primaris enhancement under appropriate circumstances. The surgical team that performed Calgar's transformation included Belisarius Cawl himself, along with the most experienced apothecaries and tech surgeons available within the Ultramarines chapter. The procedure took place within the advanced medical facilities of Ma Kragus Fortress of Hera, utilizing equipment that represented the pinnacle of Imperial medical technology, combined with Mechanicus innovations developed specifically for Primaris enhancement procedures. The operation required 18 hours of continuous surgery, during which Calgar's vital functions were maintained entirely through artificial life support, while his enhanced physiology was reconstructed around the new organ systems. Calgar's recovery process extended over several months as his modified physiology adapted to the enhanced capabilities provided by the additional organs. The chapter master experienced significant disorientation during the initial weeks following surgery, as his enhanced proprioceptive systems provided sensory input that differed substantially from his previous experience. The increased strength provided by the sinew coils required careful retraining to prevent accidental damage to equipment or injury to subordinates during routine interactions, while the enhanced size resulting from Magnificat activation necessitated modifications to his personal quarters and command facilities. The successful completion of Calgar's transformation provided powerful encouragement for other veteran Marines considering the procedure, as the chapter master's obvious improvement in combat effectiveness demonstrated the practical benefits that could result from successful enhancement. Calgar's enhanced capabilities became apparent during subsequent combat operations, where his increased strength and durability allowed him to engage enemies that would have posed significant challenges even for a Marine of his previous capabilities. His improved resistance to toxins and environmental hazards proved particularly valuable during operations in contaminated environments where traditional Astartes would have required extensive life support equipment. Captain Severus Guilliman of the Ultramarines' First Company underwent the Rubicon Primaris several months after his chapter master's successful transformation, becoming one of the first veteran officers to attempt the procedure based on Calgar's example rather than desperate necessity. Guilliman's enhancement proceeded without major complications, though his recovery period revealed the psychological challenges that often accompanied successful physical transformation. The captain experienced difficulty adjusting to his enhanced capabilities during the initial months following surgery, requiring extensive retraining to fully utilize his improved strength and speed without compromising his tactical effectiveness. The psychological aspects of crossing the Rubicon Primaris often prove as challenging as the physical transformation itself, as veterans who have spent centuries developing their combat techniques and tactical instincts must adapt to fundamentally altered capabilities while maintaining their essential identity and spiritual connection to their chapter. Many Marines report experiencing a sense of disconnection from their previous selves during the initial recovery period, as the enhanced sensory input and physical capabilities create experiences that differ substantially from their accumulated memories and learned responses. The maintenance of honor markings and campaign badges during the transformation process requires careful planning to ensure that the Marines' service history and achievements remain properly documented despite the physical changes that accompany enhancement. The increased size resulting from Magnificat activation often renders existing armor and equipment unusable, forcing the creation of new gear that must incorporate all appropriate honors and decorations earned during the Marines' previous service. Chapter artificers have developed specialized techniques for transferring honor markings from damaged or obsolete equipment to new Primaris gear, ensuring that enhanced Marines retain visible symbols of their achievements and service record. The spiritual significance of maintaining continuity between a Marine's previous identity and his enhanced capabilities cannot be overstated, as the sense of personal history and accumulated honor forms a crucial component of Astartes' psychological stability. Marines who successfully navigate the Rubicon Primaris while maintaining their connection to their chapter's traditions and their own service record demonstrate better long-term adaptation than those who view the enhancement as a complete rebirth that severs connections to their previous existence. Chapter chaplains play crucial roles in helping enhanced Marines maintain this continuity through spiritual counseling and ritual observances that emphasize the preservation of essential identity despite physical transformation. The strategic implications of the Rubicon Primaris for chapter organization and long-term planning create complex decisions that chapter masters must weigh carefully when considering whether to implement mass enhancement programs or maintain mixed forces of traditional and enhanced Marines. Chapters that choose to pursue widespread enhancement through the Rubicon Primaris face significant short-term reductions in combat effectiveness as substantial portions of their force undergo the lengthy surgical and recovery process, while also accepting the mortality rates that inevitably accompany the procedure even under optimal conditions. The Imperial Fists under Chapter Master Torgaradin adopted a cautious approach to Rubicon Primaris implementation, selecting candidates based on specific tactical requirements and individual circumstances rather than pursuing systematic enhancement of entire companies. This measured approach allowed the chapter to maintain operational effectiveness while gradually increasing their proportion of enhanced Marines, though it also meant that the benefits of widespread Primaris capabilities would take decades to fully realize. The chapter's emphasis on defensive warfare and siege operations influenced their selection criteria, with priority given to Marines whose enhanced durability and strength would provide maximum tactical advantage in their preferred combat roles. The Blood Angels faced unique challenges in implementing the Rubicon Primaris due to the genetic flaws that had historically affected their gene seed. The enhanced genetic stability of Primaris modifications appeared to suppress the manifestation of the red thirst and black rage in Marines who successfully underwent the transformation, creating the possibility of finally overcoming the curses that had plagued the chapter since the death of Sanguinius. However, this potential benefit came with philosophical complications, as many Blood Angels viewed their genetic flaws as essential components of their spiritual identity rather than mere biological defects requiring correction. Chapter Master Dante's eventual decision to undergo the Rubicon Primaris represented one of the most significant transformations attempted by any senior Astartes officer, given his advanced age and the accumulated damage from over a millennium of continuous combat service. The procedure required extensive preparation and modification of standard surgical protocols to account for Dante's unique physiological condition, including extensive cybernetic augmentations and the effects of prolonged exposure to the genetic curses that affected his chapter. The surgical team included specialists from multiple Forge worlds, along with the most experienced sanguinary priests available within the Blood Angels and their successor chapters. The success of Dante's transformation provided crucial validation for the procedure's effectiveness even among the most challenging candidates, while his enhanced capabilities demonstrated the practical benefits that could justify the substantial risks involved. Dante's improved resistance to the genetic flaws that had previously required constant management allowed him to function with greater effectiveness while reducing the psychological burden that had accumulated over centuries of fighting against his inherited curses. His enhanced physical capabilities proved particularly valuable during subsequent combat operations against Chaos forces, where his improved resistance to corruption and enhanced combat effectiveness enabled tactical approaches that would have been impossible with his previous limitations. The Salamanders under Chapter Master Tushin implemented a selective approach to Rubicon Primaris enhancement that emphasized the preservation of chapter traditions and the spiritual significance of personal weapon crafting. The chapter's emphasis on individual craftsmanship created complications for Marines undergoing enhancement, as their increased size and strength often rendered personally forged weapons and equipment unusable, forcing the creation of new gear that lacked the spiritual significance of items created over decades or centuries of service. The chapter developed specialized rituals and ceremonies that transferred the spiritual essence of original equipment to new Primaris gear, ensuring that enhanced Marines maintain their connection to chapter traditions despite their physical transformation. The strategic considerations surrounding mass enhancement programs extend beyond immediate tactical benefits to encompass long-term chapter sustainability and the preservation of institutional knowledge that forms the foundation of Astartes' effectiveness. Chapters that pursue aggressive enhancement schedules risk losing experienced veterans during the transformation process, creating gaps in leadership and tactical expertise that can take decades to replace through normal recruitment and training procedures. The mortality rates associated with the Rubicon Primaris mean that even successful enhancement programs result in the permanent loss of some of the chapter's most experienced and valuable personnel. The alternative approach of maintaining mixed forces of traditional and enhanced Marines creates different challenges related to equipment standardization, tactical coordination, and the integration difficulties that have complicated Primaris deployment since the Ultima founding. Chapters that choose this path must maintain separate logistics chains for different equipment types while developing tactical doctrines that can effectively employ both traditional and enhanced Marines in coordinated operations. The long-term sustainability of this approach remains questionable, as the eventual obsolescence of traditional Astartes equipment and the advantages provided by enhanced capabilities create pressure for complete conversion to Primaris standards. The decision-making process that chapter masters employ when evaluating Rubicon Primaris implementation reflects the complex balance between immediate tactical needs, long-term strategic objectives, and the preservation of chapter identity and traditions. Chapters facing immediate existential threats often prioritize the enhanced combat effectiveness that successful transformation can provide, accepting higher risks in exchange for improved chances of survival against overwhelming enemies. Chapters operating in relatively stable environments may choose more conservative approaches that prioritize the preservation of experienced personnel over the potential benefits of enhancement. The resource requirements associated with widespread Rubicon Primaris implementation create additional constraints that influence chapter decision-making, as the specialized medical equipment, surgical expertise, and extended recovery periods required for successful transformation represent significant investments that must be balanced against other operational priorities. Chapters operating in remote regions, or those with limited access to Forge World medical facilities, face particular challenges in implementing enhancement programs, as the technical requirements for successful transformation exceed the capabilities available through standard chapter medical facilities and personnel. The galaxy-spanning Reconquest campaign that Roboute Guilliman launched in the wake of his resurrection provided the ultimate proving ground for his enhanced Space Marines, as Primaris forces found themselves thrust into the most challenging military operations the Imperium had undertaken since the Great Crusade itself. The Indomitus Crusade represented far more than a simple military campaign. It constituted a comprehensive effort to restore imperial authority across regions that had been cut off by the Great Rift, while simultaneously demonstrating the combat effectiveness of the new Primaris Marines to skeptical commanders throughout the Imperium's military hierarchy. The strategic deployment of Primaris forces as the spearhead formations for major offensive operations reflected Guilliman's confidence in their enhanced capabilities, while acknowledging the political necessity of proving their worth through decisive battlefield victories. Traditional Space Marine chapters, many of whom remained suspicious of the enhanced warriors, required tangible evidence that Primaris Marines could deliver tactical results that justified their privileged position within the Crusade's order of battle. The Primarch's decision to assign the most challenging objectives to Primaris formations created enormous pressure for success, while providing optimal conditions for demonstrating the advantages that enhanced genetic modifications and advanced equipment could provide in actual combat situations. The first major engagement that showcased Primaris combat effectiveness occurred during the liberation of Connor, where Ultramarines Primaris forces spearheaded the assault against heavily fortified Chaos positions that had resisted conventional Imperial attacks for months. The enhanced Marines' superior firepower and durability enabled them to maintain offensive momentum through defensive fire that would have forced traditional Astartes formations to seek cover or withdraw to regroup. Intercessor squads equipped with bolt rifles demonstrated their enhanced accuracy by engaging enemy heavy weapon positions at ranges that exceeded the effective engagement distance of traditional bolt guns, systematically eliminating defensive strongpoints that had previously dominated key approach routes. The urban combat that characterized much of the Connor campaign provided ideal conditions for demonstrating the tactical flexibility that Primaris organization and equipment offered compared to traditional Astartes formations. Assault intercessor squads proved particularly effective in building-to-building fighting, where their enhanced close-quarters weapons and improved durability allowed them to clear fortified positions without the extensive fire support that traditional assault operations typically required. The standardized nature of Primaris equipment simplified logistics and maintenance requirements during extended urban operations, while the enhanced physical capabilities of individual Marines reduced the manpower requirements for achieving tactical objectives. Hellblaster squads supporting the Connor operations provided decisive anti-armor capability that enabled Primaris forces to engage enemy vehicles and fortified positions that would have required dedicated heavy weapon support from traditional formations. The improved plasma weapon technology that characterized Hellblaster armament demonstrated significantly better reliability than historical plasma weapons, with overheating incidents reduced to levels that allowed sustained engagement of priority targets without the weapon failures that had previously limited plasma weapon tactical applications. The concentrated firepower that Hellblaster formations could deliver proved particularly effective against the corrupted Imperial vehicles that Chaos forces had deployed in defensive roles throughout the urban environment. The success of Primaris forces during the Connor campaign provided crucial validation for their tactical doctrine, while revealing areas where further refinement would improve their operational effectiveness. The enhanced Marines' superior individual capabilities sometimes led to overconfidence that resulted in tactical errors, particularly among newly created Primaris warriors who lacked the combat experience necessary to recognize situations where enhanced physical capabilities could not compensate for poor tactical positioning or inadequate fire support. The standardized training that characterized Primaris creation produced warriors who excelled in conventional tactical situations, but sometimes struggled to adapt to unusual circumstances that required improvisation or departure from established procedures. The plague wars that erupted across Ultramar provided an even more demanding test of Primaris capabilities, as the forces of Nurgle deployed biological weapons and environmental contamination that challenged the enhanced warriors' improved resistance to toxins and disease. The Belisarian furnace organ that distinguished Primaris Marines from their traditional counterparts proved its worth during operations on worlds where the very atmosphere had been corrupted by chaos influence, enabling enhanced warriors to operate effectively in environments that would have required extensive life support equipment for conventional Astartes forces. The Siege of Ajax demonstrated the strategic value of Primaris durability during extended operations where traditional Marines would have required rotation or reinforcement to maintain combat effectiveness. Primaris formations maintained defensive positions for weeks without relief, while absorbing casualty levels that would have forced conventional units to withdraw or request immediate reinforcement. The enhanced metabolic regulation provided by their additional organs allowed Primaris Marines to function at peak efficiency despite limited supplies and constant exposure to biological weapons, while their improved genetic stability prevented the mutations and degradation that affected other Imperial forces operating in the contaminated environment. Aggressor squads proved particularly valuable during the close-quarters fighting that characterized much of the Plague Wars, as their combination of heavy firepower and melee capability enabled them to engage the diverse threats that Nurgle's forces presented in confined spaces. The Flamestorm gauntlets that some aggressor formations employed provided area denial capabilities that proved crucial for controlling choke points and preventing enemy infiltration of defensive positions, while their power fists delivered the stopping power necessary to engage the heavily mutated creatures that served as shock troops for Chaos forces. The establishment of new chapter homeworlds during the Indomitus Crusade represented one of the most ambitious aspects of the entire campaign, as Guilliman sought to create permanent Imperial strongholds in regions that had been lost to Chaos or Xenos forces for centuries or millennia. The selection of appropriate worlds required careful evaluation of strategic positioning, defensive capabilities, and resource availability, while the actual conquest and fortification of chosen locations demanded significant military resources that had to be balanced against immediate operational requirements. The world of Vigilus emerged as a crucial staging area for Crusade operations in the galactic north, its position near several stable warp routes making it an ideal base for launching expeditions into regions that had been cut off by the Great Rift. The planet's existing military infrastructure provided a foundation for expansion, while its industrial capacity enabled the production of equipment and supplies necessary for sustained operations across multiple combat theaters. Primaris forces played central roles in defending Vigilus against multiple enemy attacks, including orc invasions, chaos incursions, and genestealer cult uprisings that threatened to compromise the world's strategic value. The defense of Vigilus showcased the tactical coordination capabilities that Primaris formations could achieve when properly integrated with supporting elements, as enhanced Marines worked alongside traditional Astartes, Imperial Guard formations, and Mechanicus forces to repel enemies whose diverse capabilities required flexible tactical responses. Primaris repulsor tanks provided mobile fire support that proved crucial for maintaining defensive flexibility, while their transport capabilities enabled rapid redeployment of infantry forces to counter emerging threats. The advanced communication systems integrated into Primaris equipment facilitated coordination between widely separated units while maintaining tactical responsiveness during fluid combat situations. The founding of new successor chapters during the Indomitus Crusade created opportunities to implement Primaris organizational principles from the beginning, rather than adapting existing structures to accommodate enhanced warriors. These newly founded chapters could develop tactical doctrines that fully exploited Primaris capabilities without the integration challenges that affected established formations, while their equipment and training programs could be optimized for enhanced Marines from their inception, rather than requiring modification of traditional approaches. The Rift Stalkers chapter, founded during the early phases of the Crusade, exemplified the advantages that purpose-built Primaris organization could provide in specific tactical environments. The chapter's specialization in operations within warp-affected regions drew upon the enhanced chaos resistance that Primaris genetic modifications provided, while their equipment and training emphasized the mobility and firepower advantages that could prove decisive in the unpredictable combat environments characteristic of warp-touched worlds. The chapter's rapid deployment capabilities enabled them to respond quickly to emerging threats, while their enhanced durability allowed sustained operations in environments that would challenge conventional Imperial forces. The Umbral Knights represented another successful example of purpose-built Primaris chapter organization, with their specialization in void warfare and boarding actions, taking full advantage of the enhanced physical capabilities and advanced equipment that distinguished Primaris Marines from traditional Astartes. The chapter's tactical doctrine emphasized the superior close-quarters combat capabilities that Primaris genetic modifications provided, while their equipment loadouts prioritized the weapons and armor configurations that proved most effective in the confined spaces typical of spacecraft and orbital installations. The lessons learned during the initial phases of the Indomitus Crusade led to significant refinements in Primaris tactical doctrine and equipment configurations that improved their effectiveness in subsequent operations. The combat experience gained during major engagements revealed situations where standardized Primaris equipment proved suboptimal for specific tactical requirements, leading to the development of specialized variants and modifications that addressed identified shortcomings without compromising the logistical advantages that standardization provided. The integration of Primaris forces with traditional Imperial military assets required extensive adaptation of coordination procedures and communication protocols that had been developed for conventional Astartes operations. The enhanced capabilities of Primaris Marines enabled them to operate effectively in situations where traditional Space Marines would require additional support, but this increased capability created coordination challenges when mixed formations attempted to execute complex tactical maneuvers that required precise timing and positioning. The Battle of Rhokkos demonstrated both the potential and the limitations of early Primaris tactical integration, as enhanced Marines achieved decisive tactical victories through superior individual performance while experiencing coordination difficulties that reduced overall operational effectiveness. Primaris formations advancing ahead of their intended schedule due to their enhanced mobility created gaps in the battle line that enemy forces attempted to exploit, while communication delays between Primaris units and traditional support elements resulted in missed opportunities for coordinated attacks that could have achieved even greater tactical success. The refinement of Primaris tactical doctrine based on combat experience led to the development of new procedures that better integrated enhanced capabilities with existing Imperial military assets, while maintaining the tactical flexibility necessary for diverse combat environments. The standardization of communication protocols enabled more effective coordination between Primaris formations and supporting elements, while the development of specialized equipment variants provided enhanced Marines with tools better suited to specific tactical requirements without abandoning the logistical advantages of standardized production. The evolution of Primaris vehicle doctrine reflected similar learning processes, as combat experience revealed situations where the advanced capabilities of repulsor tanks and other specialized vehicles provided decisive advantages while identifying circumstances where their unique characteristics created tactical complications. The anti-gravitational propulsion systems that distinguished Primaris vehicles from conventional Imperial armor proved particularly effective in terrain that would challenge tracked or wheeled vehicles, but their electromagnetic signatures sometimes attracted enemy attention that compromised stealth operations or revealed friendly positions to opposing forces. The deployment of storm speeder formations during the later phases of the Crusade demonstrated the tactical value of specialized air support assets designed specifically for Primaris operations, as these vehicles provided close air support capabilities that complemented the enhanced ground capabilities of Primaris infantry formations. The integration of advanced targeting systems and communication equipment enabled storm speeders to coordinate effectively with ground forces while maintaining the tactical mobility necessary to avoid enemy air defense systems. The establishment of Primaris training facilities on newly conquered worlds created opportunities to refine recruitment and enhancement procedures based on combat experience, while expanding the production capacity necessary for maintaining Crusade operations across multiple theaters simultaneously. These facilities incorporated lessons learned during the initial phases of Primaris deployment, while providing the infrastructure necessary for continued expansion of enhanced Marine capabilities throughout the reconquered regions. The combat effectiveness that Primaris forces demonstrated during major Crusade operations gradually overcame the skepticism that many traditional Imperial commanders had initially expressed regarding the enhanced warriors' capabilities and reliability. The tactical successes achieved by Primaris formations in challenging combat environments provided tangible evidence of their superior performance, while their disciplined conduct and unwavering loyalty addressed concerns about their spiritual reliability and adherence to Imperial values. The integration of combat veterans from traditional Astartes chapters into Primaris formations through the Rubicon Primaris procedure created hybrid units that combined enhanced physical capabilities with extensive combat experience, producing formations whose effectiveness exceeded that achievable by either purely traditional or newly created Primaris forces. These veteran-enhanced formations proved particularly valuable for training newly created Primaris Marines, while providing the institutional knowledge necessary for adapting traditional Astartes' tactical wisdom to the enhanced capabilities that Primaris modifications provided. The emergence of newly founded Primaris chapters during the Ultima founding created unprecedented opportunities for the development of distinct martial cultures that drew upon the genetic heritage of their founding legions, while adapting to the enhanced capabilities and tactical requirements unique to Primaris Marines. These chapters, established without the weight of millennia-old traditions that constrain their predecessors, possess the freedom to develop organizational structures, combat doctrines, and cultural practices specifically optimized for enhanced Astartes, while maintaining the essential spiritual connection to their Primarch's legacy that define their fundamental identity. The genetic lineage that connected newly founded Primaris chapters to their parent legions manifested in ways that transcended simple biological inheritance, influencing everything from preferred combat tactics to psychological predispositions that shaped how enhanced Marines approached warfare and brotherhood. Chapters founded from Ultramarines' gene seed demonstrated the same methodical approach to tactical planning and adherence to codified doctrine that had characterized Roboute Guilliman's sons since the Great Crusade, yet their enhanced physical capabilities enabled them to execute these traditional approaches with unprecedented effectiveness and flexibility. The Scythes of the Emperor, rebuilt entirely with Primaris Marines following their near extinction during the Tyrannid invasion of Sotha, exemplified how genetic heritage could influence the development of new tactical approaches while maintaining essential chapter identity. Their gene seed's connection to Guilliman's lineage provided the disciplined foundation necessary for coordinated anti-Tyrannid operations, while their enhanced capabilities enabled them to engage the Xenos threat with aggressive tactics that would have proven suicidal for traditional Astartes formations. The chapter's development of specialized anti-bioform weapons and tactics reflected both their genetic predisposition toward tactical innovation and their specific operational requirements in a galaxy increasingly threatened by Hive fleet incursions. The Primaris Marines of the Scythes demonstrated remarkable adaptation to their chapter's traditional role as Tyrannid specialists, developing combat techniques that exploited their enhanced strength and durability to engage bioforms at close quarters, while maintaining the tactical discipline necessary for coordinated operations against swarm tactics. Their intercessor squads modified their standard bolt rifles with specialized ammunition designed for maximum effectiveness against chitinous armor, while their aggressor formations proved particularly effective at creating choke points that channeled Tyrannid advances into killing zones where concentrated firepower could achieve maximum effect. The Imperial Fist's gene seed that formed the foundation for several newly founded Primaris chapters carried forward the stoic determination and defensive expertise that had characterized Rogaldorn's sons throughout Imperial history, yet the enhanced capabilities of Primaris Marines enabled these chapters to pursue more aggressive tactical approaches than their parent legion's traditional siege warfare focus would suggest. The Castellans of the Rift, established to defend the regions adjacent to the Great Rift, developed fortress monastery complexes that incorporated both traditional Imperial Fist's defensive architecture and innovations specifically designed to accommodate Primaris equipment and tactical requirements. The chapter's fortress monasteries featured expanded armories designed to house the larger weapons and vehicles that Primaris forces required, while their training facilities incorporated obstacle courses and combat simulators that challenged enhanced Marines in ways that traditional Imperial Fists training could not match. The Castellans developed specialized defensive tactics that exploited the superior range and accuracy of Primaris weapons to create layered defensive zones that could engage attacking forces at distances that exceeded traditional defensive capabilities, while their enhanced durability enabled them to maintain defensive positions under bombardment that would force conventional defenders to seek deeper cover. The Iron Hands gene seed presented unique challenges for newly founded Primaris chapters, as the traditional emphasis on mechanical augmentation that characterized Ferrus Manus's legacy conflicted with the genetic enhancement approach that defined Primaris Marines. The Iron Ravagers, founded during the later phases of the Ultima founding, developed a synthesis between these seemingly contradictory philosophies that emphasized the perfection of both biological and mechanical systems through careful integration, rather than replacement of organic capabilities with cybernetic alternatives. The chapter's approach to enhancement focused on mechanical augmentations that complemented rather than replaced their enhanced biological capabilities, creating warriors whose cybernetic modifications enhanced their already superior Primaris characteristics rather than compensating for perceived weaknesses. Their tech marines developed specialized augmentation procedures that integrated seamlessly with Primaris physiology, while their training programs emphasized the maintenance and optimization of both biological and mechanical systems as equally important aspects of warrior development. The Blood Angels gene seed that formed the foundation for newly founded Primaris chapters carried forward both the artistic sensibilities and the genetic flaws that had defined Sanguinius's sons since the Horus Heresy. Yet the enhanced genetic stability of Primaris modifications appeared to suppress the manifestation of the red thirst and black rage that had plagued traditional Blood Angels for millennia. The Angels Vermilion, established as a Primaris chapter from Blood Angels gene seed, developed cultural practices that honored their genetic heritage while adapting to the absence of the genetic curses that had shaped their parent chapter's identity. The chapter's approach to combat emphasized the aggressive assault tactics that characterized Blood Angels warfare, while incorporating the disciplined fire control that Primaris training provided, creating formations that combine the best aspects of both traditional and enhanced Astartes capabilities. Their assault doctrine focused on rapid deployment through impulsor transports and inceptor jump troops, enabling them to engage enemy forces at close quarters, where their enhanced physical capabilities provided maximum advantage, while their improved weapons delivered devastating firepower at point-blank range. The absence of the red thirst in Primaris Blood Angels created opportunities for the development of new spiritual practices that emphasized the artistic and cultural aspects of their genetic heritage, rather than the constant struggle against genetic corruption that had dominated traditional Blood Angels' identity. The Angels Vermilion established extensive artistic workshops within their fortress monastery, where Marines could pursue creative endeavors during periods between campaigns, while their chaplains developed new liturgies that celebrated their connection to Sanguinius without the dark undertones that characterized traditional Blood Angels' spiritual practices. The Raven Guard gene seed that influenced several newly founded Primaris chapters carried forward the stealth and reconnaissance capabilities that had distinguished Corvus Corax's sons throughout Imperial history, yet the larger size and different equipment requirements of Primaris Marines required significant adaptation of traditional infiltration tactics. The Shadow Spear chapter developed specialized stealth techniques that accommodated the enhanced physical dimensions of Primaris Marines, while exploiting their superior strength and durability to access infiltration routes that would challenge traditional Astartes capabilities. The chapter's Reaver squads proved particularly effective at adapting traditional Raven Guard stealth tactics to Primaris capabilities, using their grav chutes to access elevated positions that provided optimal observation and engagement opportunities, while their enhanced strength enabled them to navigate obstacles and terrain features that would prove challenging for conventional infiltration specialists. Their shock grenades and combat knives provided the close quarters capabilities necessary for silent elimination of sentries and priority targets, while their advanced communication systems enabled coordination of complex multi-team operations without compromising stealth requirements. The White Scars gene seed that formed the foundation for newly founded Primaris chapters brought forward the mobility and aggressive assault tactics that had characterized Jagatai Khan's sons since the Great Crusade, yet the different vehicle requirements and tactical approaches of Primaris forces required significant adaptation of traditional fast attack doctrines. The Storm Reapers chapter developed combined arms tactics that integrated Primaris infantry capabilities with specialized vehicle formations to create highly mobile strike forces that could engage enemy formations at multiple points simultaneously. The chapter's use of invader ATVs and outrider bike squadrons provided the reconnaissance and harassment capabilities that traditional White Scars tactics required, while their impulsor transports enabled rapid deployment of infantry forces to exploit opportunities created by mobile reconnaissance elements. Their storm speeder formations provided close air support that complemented ground operations while maintaining the tactical mobility necessary for the hit and run tactics that characterized their genetic heritage. The Salamander's gene seed that influenced newly founded Primaris chapters carried forward both the technical expertise and the humanitarian values that had distinguished Vulcan sons throughout Imperial history, creating chapters that emphasized both martial excellence and the protection of Imperial civilians. The Dragon Spears chapter developed specialized equipment modification techniques that allowed individual Marines to customize their Primaris weapons and armor while maintaining the standardization benefits that characterized enhanced Astartes logistics. The chapter's approach to equipment maintenance emphasized individual craftsmanship within the constraints of standardized production, enabling Marines to develop personal connections to their weapons and armor while avoiding the logistical complications that would result from completely individualized equipment. Their Tech Marines developed modification techniques that enhanced the performance characteristics of standard Primaris equipment without compromising reliability or compatibility with standard ammunition and power sources. The Space Wolves gene seed presented unique challenges for Primaris chapter development due to the incompatibility between the Canis Helix and standard Primaris enhancement procedures, forcing newly founded chapters with Space Wolves' genetic heritage to develop alternative approaches that maintain their connection to Liman, Russ's legacy, while accommodating the requirements of enhanced Astartes capabilities. The Wolfspear chapter, established through specialized procedures that adapted Primaris modifications to work with Space Wolves' genetic material, developed pack-based organizational structures that emphasized the brotherhood and loyalty that characterized traditional Space Wolves culture. The chapter's tactical doctrine emphasized close-quarters combat and aggressive assault tactics that exploited the enhanced physical capabilities of Primaris Marines while maintaining the pack coordination that distinguished Space Wolves' warfare from other Astartes approaches. Their assault intercessor squads developed specialized techniques for coordinated melee combat that combined individual enhanced capabilities with pack tactics that maximized collective effectiveness, while their aggressor formations provided the heavy firepower necessary for breakthrough operations against fortified positions. The Dark Angels gene seed that formed the foundation for newly founded Primaris chapters carried forward both the tactical excellence and the secretive nature that had characterized the First Legion since the Horus Heresy, creating chapters that combined enhanced capabilities with the compartmentalized organizational structures that enabled the pursuit of hidden agendas alongside conventional military operations. The Blades of Vengeance chapter developed specialized reconnaissance and intelligence gathering capabilities that exploited Primaris equipment advantages while maintaining the operational security necessary for sensitive missions. The chapter's organization incorporated multiple levels of clearance and information access that enabled them to pursue complex multi-objective missions while maintaining operational security regarding their most sensitive activities. Their Eliminator squads provided precision engagement capabilities that proved particularly effective for eliminating specific targets, while their Reaver formations conducted infiltration and sabotage operations that supported broader strategic objectives without revealing the chapter's involvement in covert activities. The adaptation of ancient Legion traditions to accommodate Primaris capabilities required careful balance between honoring genetic heritage and optimizing enhanced capabilities for maximum tactical effectiveness. Many newly founded chapters developed modified versions of traditional ceremonies and rituals that incorporated the unique aspects of Primaris enhancement while maintaining the spiritual significance that connected them to their Primarch's legacy and the broader history of the Adeptus Astartes. The creation of new traditions specific to Primaris forces often centered around the enhanced capabilities and equipment that distinguished these warriors from their traditional counterparts, developing ceremonies that celebrated the successful integration of additional organs, the mastery of advanced weapon systems, or the achievement of tactical objectives that would have been impossible for conventional Astartes formations. These new traditions provided enhanced Marines with cultural touchstones that reflected their unique identity while maintaining their connection to the broader Astartes Brotherhood. The establishment of specialized training programs within newly founded Primaris chapters enabled the development of tactical expertise that fully exploited enhanced capabilities while addressing the specific operational requirements that characterized different combat environments and enemy types. These programs incorporated lessons learned from combat experience during the Indomitus Crusade, while developing new techniques that pushed the boundaries of what enhanced Marines could accomplish through coordinated application of their superior capabilities. The integration of veteran Marines who had crossed the Rubicon Primaris into newly founded chapters provided crucial institutional knowledge that bridged the gap between traditional Astartes' wisdom and enhanced capabilities, creating formations that combine the tactical experience of millennia-old traditions with the innovative approaches that Primaris capabilities enabled. These veteran-enhanced Marines served as mentors and tactical advisors who helped newly created Primaris warriors understand the deeper strategic and spiritual aspects of Astartes warfare, while adapting traditional approaches to accommodate their enhanced capabilities. The development of specialized equipment variants and tactical modifications within individual chapters reflected the growing maturity of Primaris forces as they adapted their standardized equipment and doctrine to address specific operational requirements and environmental challenges. These modifications maintained compatibility with standard Primaris logistics while providing enhanced effectiveness in particular tactical situations, demonstrating the flexibility that enhanced Marines could achieve within the framework of standardized organization and equipment. The transformation of the Adeptus Astartes through the integration of Primaris Marines represents far more than a simple military upgrade. It constitutes a fundamental evolution in the nature of humanity's greatest warriors that will shape the Imperium's military capabilities for millennia to come. The enhanced genetic stability, superior combat effectiveness, and advanced technological integration that characterize Primaris forces have established new benchmarks for Space Marine capabilities while creating ripple effects throughout Imperial military doctrine that extend far beyond the chapters themselves. The long-term implications of widespread Primaris integration suggest a gradual but inevitable shift toward complete enhancement of the Adeptus Astartes, as the practical advantages of improved gene seed stability and superior combat capabilities create compelling arguments for universal adoption of Primaris modifications. Chapters that maintain significant populations of traditional Marines face increasing pressure to either pursue mass enhancement through the Rubicon Primaris or accept gradual obsolescence, as their conventional warriors prove less effective than their enhanced counterparts in direct combat situations. The mortality rates associated with the Rubicon procedure ensure that this transition will span decades or centuries, but the ultimate direction appears clear to most strategic planners within the Imperial military hierarchy. The genetic advantages that Primaris Marines demonstrate over their traditional counterparts become more pronounced with each successive generation of gene seed harvesting and implantation. The enhanced error correction mechanisms built into Primaris genetic templates prevent the gradual degradation that historically forced chapters to implement increasingly strict recruitment criteria to maintain acceptable success rates. Several chapters that had faced potential dissolution due to gene seed corruption have reported complete stabilization of their genetic lines following conversion to Primaris standards, suggesting that enhanced modifications could eventually eliminate the genetic decay that has claimed entire chapters throughout Imperial history. The improved resistance to chaos corruption that characterizes Primaris gene seed represents perhaps the most strategically significant advantage of enhanced modifications, as this resistance addresses one of the most persistent threats that Space Marine chapters have faced since the Horus Heresy. Combat reports from engagements against Chaos forces consistently document lower casualty rates among Primaris formations when exposed to warp-based attacks, psychic assaults, and the corrupting influence of Chaos artifacts. The Belisarian Furnace's enhanced metabolic capabilities appear particularly effective at neutralizing the biochemical changes that typically precede full Chaos corruption, providing enhanced Marines with crucial additional time to seek treatment or resist temptation during extended exposure to Chaos influences. Belisarius Cawl's continued research into Primaris enhancement technologies proceeds along multiple parallel tracks that promise even greater improvements to enhanced Marine capabilities in the coming centuries. His development teams have identified several additional organ systems that could potentially be integrated into the existing Primaris template without disrupting the delicate biological balance that makes enhancement possible. These theoretical additions focus on enhanced cognitive processing, improved psychic resistance, and advanced sensory capabilities that would provide Primaris Marines with even greater advantages over both traditional Astartes and enemy forces. The experimental cognitive enhancement systems that Cawl's research teams have developed show promise for improving tactical decision-making and battlefield awareness among enhanced Marines through direct neural augmentation of existing brain structures. These modifications would complement rather than replace the enhanced reflexes and proprioceptive systems already provided by Primaris genetic modifications, creating warriors whose mental processing capabilities match their superior physical attributes. Early testing suggests that cognitive enhancement could significantly improve coordination between squad members while reducing the reaction time required for complex tactical maneuvers. Advanced psychic resistance modifications represent another area of active research within Cawl's laboratories, as the increasing prevalence of psychic threats across the galaxy creates demand for enhanced protection against mental attacks and warp-based corruption. These modifications would build upon the existing chaos resistance provided by Primaris gene seed through the integration of specialized neural structures that could detect and neutralize psychic intrusion attempts before they could establish the foothold necessary for successful mental domination or corruption. The potential applications extend beyond simple defensive capabilities to include enhanced resistance to fear effects, mind control, and the subtle psychological manipulation that Chaos forces often employ as precursors to direct assault. The development of enhanced sensory capabilities represents a third major research direction that could provide Primaris Marines with unprecedented battlefield awareness and target acquisition capabilities. These modifications would extend beyond the enhanced vision and hearing that traditional Astartes modifications provide to include electromagnetic spectrum detection, chemical analysis capabilities, and enhanced spatial awareness that would enable enhanced Marines to detect threats and opportunities that would remain invisible to conventional forces. The integration of these capabilities with existing Primaris equipment could create warriors whose sensory capabilities approach those of advanced detection equipment while maintaining the tactical flexibility that individual infantry provides. The weapons development programs that support Primaris forces continue to evolve in response to combat experience and emerging threats, with particular emphasis on increasing the effectiveness of existing weapons systems while developing entirely new categories of equipment that exploit the enhanced capabilities of Primaris Marines. The refinement of bolt rifle technology has produced improved ammunition types that provide greater armor penetration and more effective stopping power against the increasingly sophisticated armor systems employed by Imperial enemies. These developments include specialized rounds designed for specific target types, from anti-personnel fragmentation rounds to armor-piercing variants capable of defeating even the heaviest protection systems. Plasma weapon technology continues to advance through Cawl's research programs, with particular focus on improving reliability and reducing the overheating issues that have historically limited plasma weapon deployment among Space Marine forces. The latest plasma incinerator variants incorporate advanced cooling systems and containment field generators that virtually eliminate the risk of catastrophic weapon failure, while providing sustained fire capability that approaches that of traditional heavy weapons. These improvements enable Primaris formations to deploy plasma weapons more aggressively while maintaining the tactical mobility that characterizes enhanced Marine operations. The development of entirely new weapon categories, specifically designed for Primaris forces, represents the most ambitious aspect of ongoing weapons research, as these systems exploit the enhanced strength and durability of Primaris Marines to create weapons that would prove unmanageable for traditional Astartes. Experimental heavy bolt rifles incorporate multiple barrel configurations and advanced ammunition feed systems that provide firepower approaching that of vehicle-mounted weapons, while remaining manageable for individual enhanced Marines. These weapons require the superior strength and stability provided by Primaris genetic modifications to achieve their full potential, representing a new category of infantry weapons that bridges the gap between personal and crew-served systems. The evolution of Primaris vehicle technology focuses on improving the integration between enhanced Marines and their mechanical support systems, while developing new vehicle categories that exploit the unique capabilities of anti-gravitational propulsion. Advanced repulsor variants incorporate improved armor systems and more powerful weapons configurations that provide enhanced battlefield survivability, while maintaining the mobility advantages that distinguish Primaris armor from conventional Imperial vehicles. These developments include specialized variants optimized for specific combat roles, from heavy assault configurations designed for breakthrough operations to reconnaissance variants that emphasize stealth and sensor capabilities. The relationship between Primaris Marines and other Imperial institutions continues to evolve as enhanced forces demonstrate their capabilities across diverse operational environments and combat situations. The Adeptus Mechanicus has embraced Primaris technology as validation of their belief in the importance of technological advancement and innovation, with many Forge worlds dedicating significant resources to supporting enhanced Marine operations through improved equipment production and maintenance capabilities. The integration of Mechanicus technical expertise with Primaris operational requirements has produced collaborative research programs that benefit both institutions while advancing the overall effectiveness of Imperial military forces. The Astra Militarum's relationship with Primaris forces reflects the complex dynamics that characterize interactions between different branches of Imperial military forces, as enhanced Marines provide capabilities that complement rather than replace conventional Imperial Guard formations. Primaris Marines excel in situations that require superior individual combat effectiveness and tactical flexibility, while Imperial Guard forces provide the numerical strength and specialized capabilities necessary for large-scale operations. The coordination between these forces has improved significantly as both institutions develop better understanding of their respective strengths and optimal employment methods. Joint operations between Primaris Marines and Imperial Guard formations have revealed tactical approaches that maximize the effectiveness of both force types through careful coordination and mutual support. Enhanced Marines provide breakthrough capabilities that enable Imperial Guard formations to exploit tactical opportunities, while guard artillery and armor support enable Primaris forces to engage larger enemy formations without requiring the massive resource commitments that would be necessary for purely Astartes operations. These collaborative approaches suggest future developments in Imperial military doctrine that emphasize combined arms operations rather than the independent chapter operations that have traditionally characterized Space Marine deployment. The integration of Primaris forces with Imperial Navy operations has produced similar collaborative benefits, as enhanced Marines provide superior boarding and assault capabilities, while naval forces provide the transportation and fire support necessary for strategic mobility and large-scale operations. The development of specialized transport vessels designed specifically for Primaris operations has improved the effectiveness of rapid deployment missions, while the enhanced durability of Primaris Marines enables them to operate effectively in void environments that would challenge traditional Astartes capabilities. The potential for additional Primaris variants represents one of the most intriguing aspects of future enhancement development, as Cawl's research suggests that the basic Primaris template could support numerous specialized modifications that would create enhanced Marines optimized for specific combat roles or environmental conditions. These potential variants could include enhanced Marines specifically modified for void warfare, with improved radiation resistance and enhanced capability for operating in zero-gravity environments. Other possibilities include variants optimized for extreme environmental conditions, such as enhanced cold resistance for operations on ice worlds or improved heat tolerance for volcanic environments. The development of psychically active Primaris variants represents a particularly ambitious possibility that could address the Imperium's chronic shortage of reliable psychers, while providing enhanced Marines with capabilities that would prove decisive against psychic threats. These variants would require careful integration of psychic enhancement with existing Primaris modifications to avoid the instability that has historically plagued attempts to combine genetic enhancement with psychic development. The potential benefits include enhanced Marines capable of providing psychic support for their formations, while maintaining the combat effectiveness and reliability that characterize standard Primaris forces. The strategic implications of continued Primaris development extend far beyond immediate military considerations to encompass fundamental questions about the future evolution of humanity itself. The enhanced genetic stability and superior capabilities that characterize Primaris Marines suggest possibilities for broader human enhancement that could address the gradual genetic degradation that affects baseline human populations throughout the Imperium. The successful integration of advanced genetic modifications with human physiology demonstrates techniques that could potentially be adapted for civilian applications, though the political and theological implications of such developments would require careful consideration by imperial authorities. The long-term sustainability of Primaris enhancement depends largely on the continued availability of the specialized resources and technical expertise required for maintaining enhanced gene seed production and implantation procedures. The distributed nature of Primaris manufacturing capabilities provides resilience against localized disruptions, but the loss of key forge worlds or research facilities could significantly impact the Imperium's ability to maintain enhanced marine capabilities. The development of additional production centers and the training of more technical personnel represent crucial priorities for ensuring the continued availability of Primaris capabilities throughout the coming millennia. The cultural evolution of the Adeptus Astartes as Primaris Marines become the dominant form of Space Marine represents a gradual but fundamental shift in the identity and traditions that have defined these warriors for 10,000 years. The integration of enhanced capabilities with traditional Astartes values and practices creates new forms of martial culture that honor the legacy of the past while embracing the possibilities that enhanced capabilities provide. This evolution suggests that future generations of Space Marines will develop traditions and practices specifically adapted to their enhanced nature, while maintaining the essential spiritual connection to the Emperor and their Primarchs that defines their fundamental identity. The legacy of the Primaris Marines extends beyond their immediate military impact to encompass their role as symbols of imperial resurgence and technological advancement in an age when humanity faces unprecedented threats from all directions. Their superior capabilities and enhanced reliability provide tangible evidence that the Imperium retains the capacity for innovation and improvement despite the stagnation that has characterized much of imperial society for millennia. The success of Primaris integration demonstrates that careful application of advanced technology and genetic engineering can produce significant improvements in human capabilities without compromising the spiritual and cultural values that form the foundation of imperial civilization. As the 42nd millennium progresses and the threats facing humanity continue to evolve and intensify, the Primaris Marines stand as humanity's most advanced warriors, carrying forward 10,000 years of Astartes tradition while embodying the technological and genetic innovations necessary for survival in an increasingly hostile galaxy. Their enhanced capabilities, improved equipment, and refined tactical doctrines provide the Imperium with military assets capable of meeting the challenges that lie ahead, while their unwavering loyalty and spiritual dedication ensure that they remain true to the Emperor's vision of humanity's ultimate destiny among the stars. The future of the Adeptus Astartes lies not in clinging to ancient practices that may prove inadequate for future challenges, but in embracing the evolution that Primaris enhancement represents while maintaining the essential character that has made Space Marines humanity's greatest defenders for over 10 millennia.